Wakanda, the real Wakanda. So, brothers and sisters, we're here to talk about the Black Panther movie, a movie that has had much fanfare. It was much anticipated, and it definitely lived up to the hype. I saw the movie, and of course, many brothers and sisters, many of you told me that I should prepare myself for what I would see, because although many of our people don't think deeply, those of you who do tend to think a little bit more in depthly than others had already informed me that I probably would not be too excited about the message within the movie. Whenever you watch a movie, you have to pay attention, obviously, to the cinematography, the production itself. And obviously, I have to give a hats off in the kudos to director Ryan Coogler. You did an excellent job, my brother. Okay, I applaud you. You are with your queen. You have stayed with your queen, a beautiful black sister. I look forward to more of your works. You did an excellent job with Creed, okay, which you filmed in my neighborhood, all right? You did an excellent job with Fruitville Station, and I look for more and more from Brother Ryan Coogler. All of the actresses did an excellent job. Lupita, an excellent job. T'Challa, okay? Brother Bozeman, excellent job. Okay, Michael B., excellent job. The queen who played Okoye, the leader of the Dora Milaje, the military unit, excellent job. She's the same sister who played Tupac's mother. The acting was A plus. They did an excellent job. What I loved most about Black Panther was the fact that they had an entire cast of richly melanated Africans. For the first time, black children and the black child that lives within all of us, black children and the black child that lives within all of us had an opportunity to see a major motion picture where richly melanated Africans were not the tokens, were not the enemies, but were the antagonists, the protagonists. They were the extras. The movie was dominated with the original phenotype of African people. That was powerful. Because as you know, at being the certified school psychologist and educator that I am, I work every day in schools with our beautiful African children and those who are of darker hue. My complexion and darker tend to have low self-esteem complexes engendered in them by family, by society, and yes, by Hollywood. So for black girls to see chocolate, gorgeous black women with their own nappy ass heads was an intellectual insurrection. That was psychologically affirming to African children, black girls in particular. You cannot put a price on it. You cannot put a price on the validation and the verification and the redemption of soul and mind that took place within our black girls and black boys and even our adult black women who suffer from light skin supremacy and white supremacy, who suffer from light skin supremacy and white supremacy. And we are not in any way, shape, or form condemning, negating, or reducing the value of our light skin brothers and sisters, because the first color on the African flag is red. It's the blood that makes you African. And within the world of Pan-Africanism, we do not select out for color. Let me say it again. In the world of revolutionary Pan-African nationalism, classical Garveyism, we do not select out for color. Okay? Whether you are light, bright, or blue, black, purple, as long as you identify and are committed to the protection, defense, and maintenance of the red, the black, and the green, you are my brothers and you are my sisters. So we do not select out for color. But for those of us who are of a darker hue, we have a history of being rejected, denied, and excluded from opportunities to serve as major characters on the main stage. That's all we are saying. And I am saying that on behalf of black boys and black girls, psychologically speaking, the Black Panther movie was a home run. Nothing did my heart better than to see Nkoye say, I can't wait to get this thing off of my head, referencing the wig. She said, I can't wait to get this thing off of my head. That's where we need black women to get to the point where you feel ridiculous wearing the weave. You feel ridiculous wearing the perm. But for black men, we have to recognize that in order for our sisters to become liberated from the incarceration of European standards of beauty, in order for black women to feel liberated from the incarceration of European standards of beauty, black men are going to have to become more unapologetic in demanding that our sisters look like God made them and not the Korean hair care factory. Okay? It's up to us as black men to empower black women to go back to their natural state. As you've heard me say on multiple occasions, one of the most revolutionary things that can happen in America, in the world for that matter, because weave and perm are international phenomena. One of the most revolutionary things that can happen in this world for black girls is for black women to liberate themselves from the weave and the perm. So to see all that melanin on stage, beautiful. I loved it. Those chocolate women, I loved it. The darker the berry, the sweeter the juice. Brothers and sisters, what I also loved about this movie was the manner in which Wakanda, the imaginary dreamland, and we're going to get into that, but I really loved and appreciated the manner in which, and I preached this, and I don't want to sound arrogant or vain, but you're going to have a hard time convincing me that the writers of this film, Brother Coogler and the other brother, are not familiar with Dr. Umar Johnson. I know it's going to sound vain for you to hear me say that Killmonger quoted me several times in the movie. I know it's going to sound vain for you to hear me say Brother Killmonger quoted the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey several times in the movie. I know you're going to say that it's vain for Dr. Umar Johnson to say, what is the coincidence? What is the likelihood of a villain in the first major Marvel film with a black actor as its lead and an entire black cast, except for the two Neanderthals? What's the likelihood of the antagonist, Eric Killmonger, being ideologically homogenous with the Prince of Pan-Africanism? What's the likelihood of that? It's no likelihood. You know, like I know in the black consciousness movement, most of our brothers are not African. And most of them who are African are not Pan-Africanist. Okay, so you're going to have to do some selecting out. You're going to have to do some analysis of deduction to find out where did they get the ideology that they gave Killmonger, because the original Killmonger was not a Pan-Africanist. The original Killmonger in the comic book was not a Garveyite. He was not a revolutionary Pan-African nationalist. So who came up with the decision to demonize the ideology that just so happens to be the platform of the leading Pan-Africanist in the Western Hemisphere? But I digress. I love the fact that as Wakanda developed technologically, I loved the fact that as Wakanda developed scientifically, it did not shed its culture. I love the way in which the technology of Wakanda was effectively woven into the pre-existing culture of Wakanda. That was beautiful. They had culture side by side with technology. Why was that important? Why was it important? Brother Coogler did an excellent job in showing how we don't have to give up who we are in order to go where we need to be. We don't have to give up who we are in order to go to where we need to be. Where we need to be. That was beautiful. The culture was there. The greenery was there. The plants, the animals, the waterfall, the mountain. They didn't Europeanize Wakanda in order to become technologically sophisticated. They did not Europeanize Wakanda in order to become technologically sophisticated. So one of the benefits of this movie was that it showed Africans and African people, and particularly our leaders on the continent, and our leaders in the Caribbean, and our leaders in Central and South America, it showed them that you can improve the quality of life of Africa. You can improve the technological sophistication of Africa without killing the natural geography that God gave you. You do not have to kill the natural geography that God gave you in order to technologically advance your nation. That was powerful, because the white man has convinced African people that in order for you to modernize yourself, in order for Africa to catch up to the 21st century, in order for you to become technologically sophisticated, you got to kill off the wetlands. You got to institutionalize all of your animals. You got to cut up all of your rainforests. You have to mine all of your minerals. You have to rape the soil. I appreciate the fact that this movie showed you can have culture side by side with technology, that they are not inconsistent with each other. That was beautiful. The Chocolate Sisters, that was beautiful to me. What else did I love about this movie? I love the fact that within Wakandan culture, and this is true for most African cultures, but of course it was romanticized a bit, okay? And I didn't mind that. They used imagination to convey a particular spiritual reality. I appreciated the fact that in order for you to become king of Wakanda, in order for you to become king of Wakanda, you had to get buried in the soil of the ancestors. And in being buried in the soil of the ancestor and drinking the juice of the purple-hearted herb, you were automatically astro projected to the Orun, the heaven of the ancestors, where you had to have a conversation with your ancestors before you could accede to the throne. That was powerful. I want to say that again, because if we could achieve that type of spiritual technology, I think we would be able to get rid of a lot of the con artists in the conscious community. I think we would be able to get rid of a lot of the hustlers in the conscious community. I think we would be able to get rid of those brothers and sisters who only have a YouTube channel to get paid. I love the fact that in Wakanda, you had to get buried in the soil of your ancestors, go back to the Orun, and have a conversation with the ancestors before you could leave. Could you imagine if you had to get buried in the soil of your ancestors and you had to astro project back in time and have a conversation with the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey? You have to astro project back in time by way of the land of the ancestors to have a conversation with Queen Mother Sojourner Truth, to have a conversation with our revolutionary general Chris Ani, to have a conversation with Robert Sobukwe, to have a conversation with Thomas Sankara, to have a conversation with Osajafo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, to have a conversation with Maurice Bishop, to have a conversation with Queen Mother Nanny of the Maroons, to have a conversation with Walter Rodney, Kwame Ture, Fred Hampton. What if we had to astro project to the land of the ancestors to go and have a conversation with them before we could ever seek to lead our people? That process can nearly guarantee that the leader will be sincere, will nearly guarantee that the leader will not betray his mission. That process will guarantee that the leadership will serve the people. Black African power. You are listening to Dr. Umar Johnson, the Prince of Pan-Africanism, because the most honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey is the king of Pan-Africanism. So I cannot be the king. I can only be the prince. Brothers and sisters, it was a powerful movie. Spiritual technology next to material technology. African culture next to scientific expansion and development. I thought it was also beautiful that T'Challa's little sister Shuri, was responsible for manufacturing the weapons that her brother would use in defense of his people. To see a young black woman as a master of mathematics and science was extremely powerful. Extremely powerful. Just like with the Hidden Figures movie. It showed the brilliance of the African female. And when you go throughout history, traditional Africa, you will find that many black women were masters of science. Many of the students of Imhotep, masters of science, females. We talk about putting the black woman in leadership, but we also have to put the black woman back in her rightful place in technology. Now, for my brothers and sisters in the small South African country of Lesotho, for those of you who are familiar with Southern Africa, you know that within the country of South Africa is a little country in South Africa. Within the country of the Republic of South Africa, there's a little nation kingdom known as Lesotho, where I've spoken twice. Lesotho, Lesotho. I could tell that the story of the 5 tribes of Wakanda was borrowed from the story, the real story, about the creation of the Lesotho kingdom. Black power. Shout out to all my Basotos in Lesotho. I will be coming back. In fact, if y'all want me to make a stop in Lesotho while I'm in Johannesburg, we can make that happen. Get at me. WhatsApp. Get at me on WhatsApp. 215-989-9858. But let me get into this. When the movie comes on, it talks about how Wakanda came to be. How Wakanda grew out of the uniting of 5 tribes. Notice that Wakanda was up in the mountains. Well, guess what? The nation of Lesotho grew out of a what? Collection of neighboring tribes up in the mountains of South Africa, who were united under the leadership of King Moshoeshoe I. Make sure you study King Moshoeshoe I, a great African nationalist. I don't know if he was a Pan-Africanist, but he was without question an African nationalist. In fact, I'm going to say he was a Pan-African nationalist because he united different nations. That's Pan-Africanism. Whenever you start dealing with nations outside of your own, whenever you start working with ethnicities outside of your own, the minute you consider the life of another African, irrespective of his language, his culture, and his land, you're dealing in Pan-Africanism. King Moshoeshoe I, I want you to study him. Study him. Moshoeshoe. Moshoeshoe. King Moshoeshoe I in 1818, the year Frederick Douglass was born, King Moshoeshoe I went up into the mountains of Lesotho. This is the real story. This ain't Marvel Disney. This is the real story. A real hero by the name of King Moshoeshoe I united the neighboring tribes of Southern Africa in the mountain kingdom of Lesotho. Now I'm going to go a little further. Why did King Moshoeshoe I in 1818 unite the neighboring tribes of Southern Africa, which became the Lesotho kingdom? You know why? Because they were running from King Shaka, Kasensa Kakono Zulu, in order to strengthen and protect themselves from the invasion of King Shaka, Kasensa Kakono Zulu. They went up into the mountains of Lesotho, and different nations with different histories were united by King Moshoeshoe I, and that is how Lesotho was created. They took that story and gave you Wakanda. Facts. They took the story of the creation of the Lesotho kingdom, and from that story, they borrowed it for Wakanda. And for all my teachers out there, for all my educators, I think Wakanda, the Black Panther movie, is an excellent opportunity for you to segue your children out of the comic book of Black Panther and into the real books of Black African history. I said, for my teachers out there, the worst thing you could do is lose this opportunity to spark a thirst in our children to want to study the true history of Africa and African people. You need to challenge them on such questions as, why don't we have a real Wakanda in Africa? Why don't we have a real Wakanda in Africa? If Africa is the most minerally rich continent on earth, where is our real world Wakanda? You need to ask your children that. Because Africa has vibranium. Let me kick the vibranium for a minute. Y'all ready for this one? Y'all want to know what vibranium really is? Let me kick the science on vibranium. According to the movie, and y'all heard this articulated by several of the actors, the characters within the movie, they talked about how vibranium is a mineral responsible for what? The technological sophistication of Wakanda. They said because of the vibranium, Wakanda has been able to outdevelop and outdistance all other nations in the world, black or white. It is the vibranium that allows the Black Panther suit to be shot at, and the vibranium takes the energy of the bullets, stores it, charges it, and then when the Black Panther is ready, he can do what? He can initiate that stored energy into a weapon itself. Vibranium. Has anybody ever heard of a mineral known as coltan? Has anyone ever heard of a mineral known as coltan? Coltan is an acronym for a mineral known as columbite tantalite. Coltan is a mineral, okay? It's a compound word. Columbite and tantalite. They combine it, they call it coltan. Are you aware that coltan has the exact same properties as vibranium? Coltan allows an electric charge to be held, stored, and transmitted the same way the Panther suit operates. Coltan is absolutely necessary for any technological devices to operate. You have coltan in your cell phone. You have coltan in your laptop. You have coltan in your iPad. You have coltan in your automobile. You have coltan in your helicopter. You have coltan in your satellite. You have coltan in your space rockets. You have coltan in all electro-transmitting devices. Let me go further. Columbite and tantalite are also known as columbium and tantalum. Columbium, vibranium, tantalum, vibranium, niobium, vibranium. Is it a coincidence that the imaginary metal of titanium, vibranium, the imaginary metal of the Wakandan people, vibranium, rhymes with the real vibranium, which is columbium, that the white man has been robbing and stealing out of Africa for the past 50 plus years, without which his technological world would have never taken place. If you want to know what would happen if America gets his hands on vibranium, You don't have to worry about what will happen. You can look at what has already happened. The weapons of mass destruction that America has created were created with the coltan of the Congo. The weapons of the mass destruction that America uses today was created from the real vibranium. And the real vibranium is columbium, otherwise known as coltan. Vibranium, columbium, the words are almost the same. Let's go deeper. Now, the Congo isn't the only country that produces columbium. Egypt has it. Nigeria has it. There's other countries that produces it, but the Congo is the largest producer of columbium. The real vibranium. The real vibranium, brothers and sisters. And guess how much it costs? Guess how much columbium costs? $400 a kilogram. And guess who's mining it? Poor, impoverished African people. And guess how much they earn? $10 a week. Mining the most critical mineral in the technological world. Vibranium is a metaphor for columbium coltan. You want to know why there's always fighting in the Congo? You know why there's always fighting in the Congo? Because the CIA, and we're going to get to that in a minute, because somebody got to explain to me how the CIA agent in Black Panther is a friend to the Black Panther. Can somebody explain to me how the CIA agent, Officer Ross, the CIA agent in this movie is a friend to Africa and African people? Are you crazy? Now, my brother Ryan Coogler, we got to talk about that, my brother. That's not acceptable. I'm still a fan of you, brother. No issues. But for the next Black Panther, we got to do something about that, my brother. You cannot misinform black children. I know it's a movie, but this ain't about movies. Condition the mind. Movies make the mind. Perception is reality, my brother. And it is very irresponsible to cast a CIA agent as a friend to African people. I got a problem with that. Now, some of y'all are going to say, why you got a problem with that? What's so bad about the CIA? Well, the CIA was founded in 1947 by a group of Wall Street bankers. Let me say it again. The CIA was founded in 1947 by a group of Wall Street bankers. Let me say it again. The CIA was founded in 1947, right after World War II, by a group of Wall Street bankers. Can anybody tell me why the CIA was founded right after the end of World War II? And can anybody tell me why it was Wall Street bankers who founded the CIA? Why was it founded right after World War II? And why was it founded by CIA bankers? Let's deal with the first part. The reason the CIA was founded in the aftermath of World War II was to prevent, as much as possible, the possibility of a World War III. In other words, we're going to create a clandestine organization, a terrorist organization. The CIA is a terrorist organization that is not bound to the laws of the Constitution, to go around the world serving as the international gangsters for the international bankers. Pow! Let me say it again. The CIA was founded in the aftermath of World War II to go around the world undercover, not bound by the rules of the Constitution, acting as the international gangsters for the international bankers. The number one operative of the CIA is to sell drugs so that money could be raised off of the books. Here we go. The number one operative of the CIA is to sell dope, crack, heroin, opium. Why do they sell the dope? They sell the dope for two reasons. Number one, to supplement the New York Stock Exchange, to make sure that there is not another Great Depression. That's number one. Okay, that's number one. Americans are unemployed. Americans are jobless. If you got people who don't have money to buy, the stock market takes a hit. But there is one thing that people will buy, they will steal to buy, and that is dope. A crackhead will not let anything stop him or her from getting high. So if we sell the dope, we are guaranteed to keep a fresh supply of money to keep the stock market healthy. Facts. If you knew all of the American corporations that invest in dope and use dope money to keep the stocks afloat, it'll blow your mind. You got a 401k? You got a pension? You got a retirement plan? Well, guess what? I can almost guarantee you that if it wasn't for drugs being sold, your retirement money would not be what it is by the time you decide to withdraw that money. These are facts. So the CIA's job is to, number one, keep the stock market healthy by selling dope and investing the money in the stock market. That's number one. The second job of the CIA is to take some of that drug money, sneak into Africa, take some of that drug money and sneak into South America. Take some of that drug money and sneak into the Caribbean islands, like they did with our brother Maurice Bishop of Grenada in 1983. And they take that money and sneak into the Congo, where the real vibranium is columbium. The real vibranium is columbium. The real vibranium is Colombia. And they sneak into the Congo. And they do what? They finance the overthrow of African leaders who don't agree with them. Let me say it again. They finance the overthrow of African leaders they don't agree with drug money, because it cannot be traced to the U.S. Treasury. That's why. That's why. The CIA are the gangsters for the international bankers. If the African country don't want to give up that gold, you don't want to give up those diamonds, you don't want to give up that coltan, you don't want to give up that gas, you don't want to give up that oil, we will finance your opposition, give them weapons and money to overthrow you. How dare you have the CIA as a positive character in a movie about African people? Brother Kugler, you got to change that, my brother. Let me tell you some of the things the CIA, Cocaine Import Agency, the gangsters for the bankers. Let me tell you some of the resume items of the CIA. In 1961, President Dwight Eisenhower ordered CIA Director Allen Dulles. That's right. The same Dulles for whom the Washington, D.C. airport is named. That's right. The same Dulles for whom the Washington, D.C. airport is named. The very same person. And guess what Allen Dulles was doing before he took over the CIA? Guess what Allen Dulles was doing before he took over the CIA? He was a Wall Street executive. Why are so many directors of the CIA Wall Street executives? Not all of them, but many of them. George W. Bush was CIA director before he became president. That's one of the reasons why he became president for the so-called Gulf War, because they needed the oil and the gasoline. Dwight Eisenhower ordered the assassination of Patrice Lumumba, and he ordered the assassination of Patrice Lumumba, and he ordered Allen Dulles to do it. Oh, yes. Dwight Eisenhower preceded John F. Kennedy. And as president, he ordered Allen Dulles, director of the CIA, or soon to be director of the CIA, he ordered him to take out Patrice Lumumba, the first duly elected prime minister of the Congo. The first duly elected prime minister of the Congo. Patrice Lumumba was murdered by the CIA. Patrice Lumumba was murdered by the CIA. They also poisoned his toothpaste. And many believe that his baby girl who died in Switzerland in the hospital was poisoned by the CIA. They're the ones who worked with the government of Belgium to chop up Patrice Lumumba's body and burn it. It was the CIA, cocaine import agency, who did that. And y'all got the CIA as a friend? Did you notice in Black Panther, Agent Ross helped save Wakanda? Did you realize how in the movie, Agent Ross jumps in front of Lupita? Check out the symbolism in this. Agent Ross jumps in front of Lupita and takes a bullet from Killmonger's gun for Lupita. Look at the symbolism. A white man saved the black woman from the black man. The white man saved the black woman from the black man. Agent Ross jumps in front of Lupita and takes Killmonger's bullet for Lupita. The white man protects the black woman from the black man. Hence, child support. Hence, custody court. Hence, food stamps. Hence, Section 8. Hence, welfare. Hence, aid to families with the... Hence, homeless shelter. The white man protects the black woman from the black man. And then Lupita, after the white man saves her from her brother, the white man saves the African woman from the African American. Ooh. Ooh. The white man saves the African woman from the African American brother. Look at that. The white woman blocks the black woman from the black man, and then the black woman, Lupita, falls for the white man. Not romantically, psychologically. She says, we have to take him back to Wakanda because he saved my life. And Okoye, the leader of the Dora Milaje, the one who played Tupac's mother, what I loved about her, she said, take him where? You can't take this man back to our country. He's a devil. And T'Challa, being the beta male that he was, let's just be honest, brothers and sisters, T'Challa was a beta male in this movie. Would we all agree on that? He was not alpha. In fact, in the Black Panther movie, all of the alpha males were antagonists. There were 3 alpha males in this movie. 3. M'Baku, the leader of the Jabari guerrilla tribe up in the mountains. And I'm going to come back to that. M'Baku was an alpha. Look how he was portrayed in the movie. Okay? He was an antagonist. He was not positive. M'Baku was an antagonist. Yes, he saved T'Challa in the end. Yes, he kept him alive. But let's just be honest. Generally speaking, he would not be a protagonist. He was an antagonist in this movie. Alpha male antagonist. Who's the other 2 alpha male antagonists? The brother from Get Out and Goye's husband. He was an alpha male until she turned him into a beta at the end of the movie, okay? He was the alpha male. He wanted to go to war. He felt T'Challa was too weak and soft. What did he say? I sent you to go and get Claw. Claw killed my people. I told you to go get Claw, bring him back dead or alive. T'Challa said, I'm going to bring him back alive. He showed up without him. Get Out said, what happened? T'Challa said, he got away from us. And he looked at him and said, there you go with your weak-ass beta male self. I knew you couldn't get the job done. You too soft for this. Get Out told T'Challa, basically, you not built for this. So when Killmonger showed up with Claw's body, Get Out was all for Killmonger because he said, listen, I ain't crazy about no African-American king. But if he got some testosterone, if he got some guts, if he got some courage, I'd rather have an African-American leader with guts than an African leader with no courage. So Get Out was an alpha male. M'Baku was an alpha male. And Eric Killmonger was an alpha male. None of the alpha males were positive characters. Only the beta males were alpha. But at the same time, they had no problem with all the sisters being alpha females. Facts. Most of the women in the movie, except Queen Mother Angela Bassett with her fine self, all of the sisters in the movie, except Shuri, but even Shuri, she was a little bit more feminine than the rest of them, but the entire Dora Milaje, they were she-males. What is a she-male? That's an alpha female. A she-male. So this is a movie about African culture. This is a movie about African culture, but all the alpha men are antagonists. The protagonist is a beta male. Look at this. The superhero is a pro-CIA bougie African leader. Can I be honest today? Can I be honest today? How the hell you going to give black children a pro-CIA beta male superhero? Somebody got to give me an answer. Somebody got to give me an answer. I'm just asking a question. Don't kill the messenger. I'm just asking a question. Don't kill the messenger. How can a superhero for black children be pro-CIA and a beta male? And on top of that, don't care about no other people except his own. See, one of the beauties about Black Panther, because I'm going to show Black Panther at FDMG, one of the beauties about this movie is it shows the differences between the revolutionary Pan-African nationalism of a Marcus Garvey and the African nationalism of Prince T'Challa of Wakanda. One of the things on trial in this movie is Pan-African nationalism versus African nationalism. Prince T'Challa and his father, King T'Chaka, they were both African nationalists. They only cared about the best interests of Wakandans. They were not even continental Pan-Africanists, because you have continental Pan-Africanists and you have universal Pan-Africanists. A continental Pan-Africanist is a Pan-Africanist who cares about the continent of Africa. In other words, they don't just care about their own country. They care about all of Africa. That's a continental Pan-Africanist. A universal Pan-Africanist, a Pan-African nationalist is concerned about all Africans in the world. Prince T'Challa and his father, King T'Chaka, were African nationalists. It was good. They were not interested in sharing their country with the white man. That's good. But we don't need African nationalism. We need Pan-African nationalism. Because if you only are concerned about Wakanda, this is how Africa got taken. Listen to me, brothers and sisters. One of the strategies that the white man used to take Africa, to colonize Africa, okay? To colonize Africa is they depended on the selfish African nationalism of the various ethnic groups on the continent. There were really no nation states at the time that colonialism took root. But for lack of a better word, I'm saying cultural group, because there were no nation states really at that time. Okay? There were nations, but a geographical nation state with clearly defined borders, okay, that comes later. So the white man knew that the Zulu didn't really rock with the Xhosa. Okay? ethnic nations, not nation states. They knew that the Swazi didn't really mess with the Zulu. They knew the Hutu didn't really get down with the Tutsi. Yes. Yes. They play the different nations off of each other. African nationalism is narrow-minded because it says, I'm going to look out for my nation, but I'm not going to give a damn about my next door neighbor. But if the white man takes down your next door neighbor, you are next. I would argue that Shaka Kasensa Zulu, who was personified in Killmonger, Shaka Kasensa Gulu, who was personified in Killmonger, was a continental Pan-Africanist. Why? Because Shaka Zulu, why did he take over the various nations in Southern Africa? Why did he conquer so much of Southern Africa? Because he needed the Southern African nations to stop beefing with each other, to unite in order to ward off the British menace. And the Dutch menace. Shaka knew they were coming. So Shaka Zulu said, listen, Swazi, work with me or I got to take you over. Listen, Kosa, work with me and I got to take you over. But he went to them all. Some said, we're going to work with Shakas. Others said, hell no. Shaka said, okay, get down and lay down. I'm just going to gangster the whole damn country. And I'm just using Zulu and Kosa figuratively, okay? Because there's a lot of different ethnicities in Southern Africa, and I don't want to misrepresent any of them, so I'm just using them hypothetically. But Shaka went to these nations and said, listen, we got to unite. They didn't want to unite, so what did Shaka do? He took them by force. He took them by force. And those who escaped went up into Lesotho, and they formed under King Moshoeshoe I in 1818, the Kingdom of Lesotho. The story for which was stolen and used, or borrowed, excuse me, because I don't see anything wrong with it, borrowed and used for the origin of Wakanda's story. And when I say that Eric Killmonger personifies Shaka, look at what Eric Killmonger does in the movie, and look at some of the aspects of King Shaka's reign, the real Shaka. In fact, T'Challa's father was named Shaka. T'Challa's father was named Shaka. So clearly there was a serious Shaka Zulu metaphor running through this movie. Let's look at Shaka Zulu. Shaka was born the illegitimate son of a Zulu king, King Kasensa Kakona. His mother was outcast. The son was outcast. Now let's look at Eric Killmonger. Eric Killmonger's father, Prince Umjobu, is an undercover spy for the Wakandan government assigned to Oakland, California. He has a child with a descendant of enslaved Africans. His brother finds out, King T'Chaka, and he tells him that you have to come back to Wakanda and stand trial because you helped Ulysses Claw, a German. Keep that in mind. We'll come back to that. Ulysses Claw, a German. He uses Ulysses Claw. He tells him, Prince Umjobu, living in Oakland, son by an African-American woman. He helps Ulysses Claw break into Wakanda and steal a quarter ton, I believe it was, of vibranium. A quarter ton of vibranium. To do what? Bring some of that vibranium to Oakland so that Prince Umjobu and his son Eric Killmonger can use the technology of vibranium to do what? Empower African Americans. What does he say to his big brother, King T'Chaka, when he shows up in his house in Oakland with the Dora Milaje? He says their leaders are being killed. They're being criminalized. I can't remember his exact words, but he basically said everything that we know. They're being miseducated, mass incarcerated. They're being killed by the police. Black people are being stepped on and walked on, my big brother, King Chaka. We got to help our people. He feels for African Americans because Prince Mjobu is a Pan-African nationalist. He's influenced by the Black Revolution struggles of America, and he wants to help us. He wants to help us. He's a Pan-African nationalist like his son would be. Eric Killmonger, a Pan-African nationalist. The problem is King T'Chaka, just like his son, Prince T'Challa, were not Pan-African nationalists. They were African nationalists, and they didn't give a damn about no black people who were not Wakandan. Facts. Facts. So let's stay with the story. So Eric Killmonger, the illegitimate child of a prince, Shaka Zulu, the illegitimate child of a king, spawned, neglected, left, shot. Look at the parallel between the real Shaka Zulu and Eric Killmonger. And then Shaka Zulu comes back to the throne and does what? Take it by force. Shaka Zulu says, you don't give me the throne, I'ma come and take it. Shaka Zulu took the Zulu throne. What did Eric Killmonger do in Black Panther? Did he not show up to the throne and said, I'm coming for the throne? I'm coming for the throne. So they took the story of Shaka Zulu and they mixed it with the revolutionary Pan-African nationalism of a Marcus Garvey and Umar Johnson, and they personified it in Killmonger. This also explains Killmonger's fight with the Wakandans. Why? Because the Wakandans were a united tribe in the mountains. I just told you earlier that the kingdom of Lesotho was created in 1818 by King Moshoeshoe I to do what? Unite against the imperial rule of Shaka Zulu. In the movie, Eric Killmonger fights against the 5 tribes the same way the kingdom of Lesotho prepared to fight against Shaka Zulu. This whole movie is about our history. There's some manipulations. There's some omissions. There's some, clearly some misrepresentations. But there's a lot of African history in this movie. The major language spoken in the movie was what? Xhosa. The 2 largest tribes in South Africa, Zulu and Xhosa. My oldest daughter's middle name, Nkosazana, Royal Princess. Okay? I want to go back to the CIA agent Ross, if we may. I want to go back to the CIA agent Ross, if we may. He saves that black woman from the black man's bullet. The white man saves the black woman from the black man's bullet. The black woman is so enthralled by this that she risks national security. She risks national security and told her love, the king of Wakanda, Prince T'Challa, he saved me, T'Challa. He took the bullet for me. This good white man saved me, T'Challa. We can take him back to Wakanda. Your sister Shuri, we can heal this man. Okoye, Dora Milaje, who was more alpha than T'Challa. Would we agree that Nkoye, the leader of the Dora Milaje, was more alpha than the damn king? She says, you don't bring this man to our country. He's CIA. That's not her words, but basically. And then Lupita looks at Nkoye and says, but he saved me. And what did Okoye say? What did Okoye say? When Lupita said, but he saved my life, what did Okoye say? She said that was his decision. That was his decision. What I loved about this dialogue is it showed how we as African people, we as black people have to stop letting, here we go again. I've been teaching y'all this for years. We got to stop letting personal relationships with white people. We have to stop letting personal relationships with white people. We have to stop letting personal relationships with white people affect political decisions for our people. Let me say it again. Let me say it again. We have to stop letting our personal relationships with white people affect our political decisions for our people. Okoye was right. She was right. Let him die where he is. He is an enemy. Did you not see him talking to Eric Ulysses Claw? The CIA man was willing to work with Claw, but Claw wasn't willing to do it. Claw was a cowboy. Claw was a cowboy. That CIA man ain't give a damn about no Wakanda. He wanted Wakanda's secrets. He wanted the secrets. It gets worse. It gets worse. Because they bring the white man back. They don't put him in a hotel. They don't hide him in a forest. They don't put him in a house. Guess what they do? They bring this devil, Agent Ross of the CIA, and they bring him to the middle of the Wakandan scientific universe. They brought him to the very lab where they make the Black Panther uniform. They bring him to the very nexus of their military power. Please read Chancellor Williams' Destruction of African Civilization if you haven't read it. Please read Chancellor Williams' Destruction of African Civilization if you haven't read it. Please read Chancellor Williams' Destruction of African Civilization if you have not read it. Please read that book. Because in this movie, they repeat the same mistakes that our ancestors repeated that allowed the European to lay siege to Africa. You don't bring no damn CIA agent to the middle of your empire. Are you sick? And did you notice what happened once the white man was healed and he got up out the bed? Shuri, our brilliant, scientifically and mathematically advanced sister, he starts asking questions, right? He starts asking Shuri questions like, what is that and what is this? She's telling him all the damn secrets. She ain't got no common sense. Brilliant little beautiful sister, but she ain't got no damn common sense. You don't tell no damn Neanderthal all of our business, our scientific business that has kept our nation afloat and alive. And not only that, what happens when Wakanda goes to war with itself? The Civil War. The Civil War between Killmonger and T'Challa's loyalists, because that was a civil war. That was poking at the civil wars in Africa. Now check this out. Who engineers most of the civil wars in Africa? The CIA. And remember when Agent Ross, Lupita, Shuri, and T'Challa was talking about Killmonger? Remember they brought Killmonger up and said, he's here? And somebody said, we don't want him here. And what did the white man say? What did that devil say? He said, you're right. You don't want him here. He's one of us. Did you hear that? You're right. You don't want him here. He's one of us. You're right. You don't want him here. He's one of us. And then Agent Ross goes on to say what? Killmonger. When they said Killmonger burned the herb of the Black Panther, the purple herb, Agent Ross says what? He was trained. We trained him how to destabilize foreign governors. We trained him to destabilize foreign governments. Did y'all hear him say that? He said they trained Killmonger to destabilize foreign governments. And basically, if you let him take over Wakanda, he going to destroy y'all too. So here you go again. A big problem we got as Africans, letting white people give us advice about other black people. Here we go again. A big problem we have as Africans, letting white people give us advice about other black people. Letting white people choose our leaders and tell us what leaders are no good for you. They'll say, Jesse Jackson is okay, but you don't want no Dr. King. Reverend so-and-so, Billy Cowles is okay, but you don't want no Malcolm X. The NAACP and Urban League, it's okay, but you don't want no Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad. That's exactly what Agent Ross was doing, trying to tell them. This is the most technologically advanced nation in the world, and he's trying to tell them who they should follow and who they shouldn't. And one of the things that I loved about M'Baku, leader of the Jabari guerrilla tribe, M'Baku, remember when Queen Mother Angela Bassett and Lupita went to M'Baku to get help to fight Killmonger, which is also symbolic of the Lesotho nation uniting to resist Shaka Zulu's domination? That was all historical symbolism. But remember when they got to M'Baku's throne and they started talking to M'Baku about the problem with Killmonger? What did M'Baku do? What did the alpha male tell Agent Ross? What did M'Baku do? M'Baku said, you can't talk here. Do y'all remember that? M'Baku said, you cannot speak in this chamber. He shut him down. He shut him down. He said, don't no cracker talk in here. You ain't my friend. T'Challa didn't have a problem with it. Lupita didn't have a problem with him talking. Shuri didn't have a problem with him talking. But M'Baku didn't play them games. M'Baku didn't play them games. M'Baku said, you are not one of us. You are not our friend. I do not trust you. Remember? He start talking. They start bark. Roof. 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 Y'all remember that? Every time he tried to talk. Roof. 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 Shut your ass up. You don't even belong here. Shut your ass up. And then do you also remember when Angela Bassett and Shuri and Lupita, I believe it was all three of them, maybe just Lupita and Angela, remember when they pulled out the purple herb? They saved some of the purple herb and they gave it to T'Challa when he was laying in the ice. Did you see what M'Baku did with the CIA agent Ross? He made Agent Ross turn his back so he would not witness the spiritual ritual. Did y'all see that? M'Baku made him turn. This is none of your business. This is none. You will not see our spiritual rituals. That is sacred to us. That is sacred to us. M'Baku was a hero in this movie. For all my educators, you got to bring M'Baku out to your children and do a compare and contrast. Why was T'Challa so accepting of the CIA? And why was M'Baku so untrusting of the CIA? Why was the beta male? Look at how the beta male dealt with the white man. And look at how the alpha male dealt with the white man. Look at how the beta male dealt with the white man. And look at how the alpha male dealt with the white man. Very important. Very important to see the differences there. Very important. And then when the Civil War began, Shuri gives the white man the vibranium. Did y'all see that? She gave him the vibranium bracelet or a piece of the vibranium. She gave him some of the damn mineral. I said, look at this crap here. She gave him the damn mineral, then created the spaceship. He gets in the spaceship, right? And remember when he said, I can't get out the spaceship, so he's helping the Wakandans save themselves from the African Americans. He's in a spaceship helping the Wakandans save themselves from the African Americans, right? And then remember, Shuri said, you have to get out of there. He said, I don't know how. I don't know how. And guess what she does? Cooning her little gorgeously intelligent self off. Guess what Shuri does? Cooning her little gorgeously intelligent self off. She says, cross your arms. Y'all remember this? She gave the devil the secrets of the empire. She said, you have the vibranium. cross your arms and break out the ship. Do you realize that they let that CIA agent infiltrate their government, infiltrate their technology, infiltrate their war machine? Do you know when he gets back to America? Do you know that when he gets back to America, and you know he stole some of that vibranium? You know, come on. If it's one thing we know about white folk when they come around us, Africa, they steal. Let's just be honest. You know he stole some of that vibranium. You know he stole some of that vibranium. The next Black Panther movie should show Wakanda being colonized by the United States government, because this movie clearly laid the groundwork for the American takeover of Wakanda. Somebody needs to take T'Challa, Lupita, Shuri, and everybody else in there who was cooning for Agent Ross, and they need to give them a copy of Chancellor Williams' Destruction of African Civilization. In fact, somebody get me the mailing address for Wakanda. I need the mailing address for Wakanda, because I'm going to personally send Lupita, Shuri, and T'Challa Chancellor Williams' book, because obviously they ain't ready. Obviously, somebody get me what's the mailing address to Wakanda? I need the mailing address to Wakanda. I'm sending a whole box of the Destruction of African Civilization by our master teacher, Dr. Chancellor Williams. Now, let's get back. I want to go over a brief list of the CIA's greatest hits on black people. Not Jay-Z's greatest hits, not Michael Jackson's greatest hits, not Prince's greatest hits, not Drake's greatest hits, okay? The CIA's greatest hits. At the top of the chart, they killed Patrice Lumumba in 1961, the CIA, who was positively portrayed in this movie. Number 2, they overthrew Kwame Nkrumah, the first democratically elected president in modern Africa in 1966. They overthrew him while he was out of the country. They financed the opposition to take over Ghana, and they overthrew Nkrumah. That's number 2. Number 3, the CIA was indicted or accused of participating, alleged, in the assassination of Malcolm X, which I don't doubt. Malcolm X's murder was not just FBI. It wasn't just jealous Negroes. It was also the CIA. Remember, FBI deals with domestic political issues. The CIA deals with international political issues. The FBI deals with political issues in America. The CIA deals with international issues, okay? The FBI's job is to destroy black leaders in America. The CIA's job is to destroy black leaders outside of America. But the minute an American leader internationalizes his struggle, the minute an American leader, an African in America, internationalizes the struggle, they automatically become legal territory for the CIA. If you are a Pan-Africanist, as I am, you will not just have to worry about the FBI, you also have to worry about the CIA. Okay? So the CIA had to kill. Why was Malcolm killed February 21st? Why did they have to get Malcolm that day? Why they didn't kill Malcolm March the 21st, April the 21st, May the 21st? Why? 3 reasons why Malcolm had to die on February the 21st. Reason number 1, 2 to 3 weeks prior, he had met with Coretta Scott King, Malcolm's wife, while Malcolm was in jail. And through Coretta, Dr. King and El Hodge agreed to disagree, and they were going to merge the civil rights movement into a singular movement. Malcolm was going to lead the North and Dr. King was going to lead the South. It was going to be a two-headed leadership apparatus. This drove J. Edgar Hoover crazy, and Malcolm's assassination had to take place because they could not afford for Malcolm and Martin to unite. That's number 1. Number 2, Malcolm X was scheduled to speak at a gathering of second and third world revolutionary leaders. I repeat, Malcolm X was scheduled to speak within 2 to 3 weeks of the February 21st Audubon assassination. He was scheduled to speak with Che Guevara, I believe. With Che Guevara, I believe Che was supposed to have been there. I think he was still with us at the time. Malcolm was supposed to present at a conference of second and third world revolutionary leaders. The CIA could not let Malcolm form an international alliance with second and third world revolutionaries. He had to die February 21st because otherwise Malcolm would have united with second and third world leaders. That would have been a revolution like a revolution. Yes. And the third reason that they had to kill Malcolm when they killed Malcolm is he was also scheduled to go and present before the African Union. Malcolm was supposed to present the grievances of African people before the African Union and then before the United Nations. He was internationalizing the struggle. The CIA needed Malcolm dead to prevent the unification of Africans in America and Africans in Africa. The purpose of the Black Panther movie was not to raise the self-esteem of black children, although it did that. The real purpose of the Black Panther movie was to indoctrinate the next generation of young black leaders against the unification of Black America and Black Africa. That's why the CIA was in the movie. If this is an imaginary movie, if there's no such thing as Wakanda, if there's no such thing as vibranium, although we know it is, if there's no such thing as a Prince T'Challa, if there's no Shuri, if there's no Dora Milaje, if this is a imaginary fairy tale based movie, a comic movie, why was the CIA in an imaginary movie? The CIA is a very real governmental agency. The CIA is a very real governmental agency. The CIA is a very real governmental agency. Why did you put a real agency in an imaginary movie? Because you need to recreate the image of the CIA in the mind of African people. You need to recreate the image of the CIA in the minds of African children so they view the greatest destabilizer of African power and progress as a friend instead of an enemy. The CIA's fingerprints was all over this movie. If you're going to tell me the CIA did not meet with Disney and Marvel, you are out of your mind. The CIA's fingerprints was all over this movie. And for those of you who don't know, do your research on the entertainment industry liaison of the CIA. Do your research on the entertainment industry liaison, EIL. Do your research on the entertainment industry liaison of the CIA. The CIA has an employee, an entire committee actually, whose job is to oversee the movies and the content in the scripts in Hollywood to determine whether or not certain movies can be detrimental to America's foreign interests. Don't you ever tell me this is just the movie. Don't you ever tell me that this is just the movie. Don't you ever tell me that this was just the movie. I loved it for our children. Psychologically, the movie was a success, but it was a political weapon of psychological destruction. The white man told you through Niccolo Machiavelli that whenever you want to take over a people, physically or mentally, put your iron fists inside of a velvet glove. Put your iron fists inside of a velvet glove. If you're telling me that when you watch this movie, you do not see deliberate United States foreign interests at play here, you don't see the hidden hand of the government in this movie, then you have been thoroughly miseducated. That's why when I open up the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy, I'm going to have a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, and a doctorate degree in revolutionary Pan-African nationalism. Oh, yes. You will get your bachelor's degree in the history of black struggle, the international history of black struggle. You will get your master's degree in white supremacy, and you will get your doctorate degree in classical Garveyism, revolutionary Pan-African nationalism. This movie was a CIA operation. Every child in Africa will see this movie. Every child in Africa will see this movie. And although I want them to get the positive psychological benefits, I also do not want them to get the subliminal suggestions. So you need to understand how unconscious programming works. This is why I got a doctorate in clinical psychology, to study the subliminal indoctrination, how you can program somebody's mind by going beneath the conscious. And while they are caught up in the fights, in the outfits, in the vibranium, in Killmonger, in the Black Panther, while you caught up in the excitement, while you're loving the special effects, while the cinematography has your mind blown, the CIA is feeding, programming the unconscious of our children. Do you know what the major message in Black Panther was for African American children? Do you know what the major message in Black Panther was for African children? Guess what the message was? What is the main program? They spent $200 million to tell African children in Africa, leave those trifling African Americans alone. Leave that trifling conscious community alone. Because although those Negroes are Hotepan, they are more like us than they are like you. And if you let them come into Africa, if you give them dual citizenship, if the African Union allows the Black American to influence the political affairs of the continent, you will pay for it, because the African Americans are not coming back to Africa to help you. They're coming back to Africa to dominate you and destroy your culture. They are power thirsty. And that's why T'Challa told Killmonger, you have become just like the people you hate. You have become just like the people you hate. You have become just like the people you hate. The purpose of the Black Panther movie was to divide African youth from African American youth. The purpose of the Black Panther movie was to reinforce the false stereotypes that African Americans are no good for Africa. These are the facts, and they are undisputed. These are the facts, and they are undisputed. And the message for African Americans was what? Just as negative. The message for African Americans was, Africa don't want you. You see how they left? King T'Challa left his own nephew in Oakland. Left him there without a father. Left him there. Look how they treated Killmonger. Everybody was for African culture till Killmonger showed up. Everybody was for African culture until how do you block on YouTube? I got to figure out how to block folks on YouTube. Anyhow, remember when Killmonger challenged T'Challa and they fought for the throne? Killmonger beats T'Challa. Lupita goes to Nkoye and says, we have to get T'Challa back on the throne. And Koye says, no, we don't. Killmonger won. Lupita says, but he's not Wakandan. And Koye said he defeated him based on the culture and based on the protocol that a throne can be. And Koye said, that's the way we do it here. That's our culture, Lupita. Your boyfriend lost. You got to deal with that. And Lupita said, he ain't from Wakanda. He only been here a few minutes. We can't let him be king. And then Koye said, listen, my job is to protect the throne, no matter who sits on it. Y'all remember that? And Koye said, my job is to defend the throne, no matter who sits on it. You caught up in your love for one man. That was significant. But I want y'all to see how everybody in Wakanda was willing to throw away African culture to get rid of the African American leader. They said, we don't give a damn about Wakandan culture. We don't give a damn about Wakandan spirituality. We don't want no African American running nothing over here. Y'all saw it. And let me say this. Let me say this. Let me say this. As a Pan-Africanist, I can say this. As someone who visits Africa often, as someone who speaks in Africa often, I can tell you that there are Africans who think that way, without question. There are Africans who want to know why I'm in Africa. There are Africans who think I have no business being the prince of Pan-Africanism, even though I am, and there's nothing they can do about that. There are Africans who have some very negative opinions of African Americans, including Pan-Africanists. So I want y'all to know that Lupita's personality and Shuri's personality is very much represented in Africa. Yes, that's some real stuff. There are Africans who want nothing to do with blacks in America. Yes, it's true. And I'm telling you that as a Pan-Africanist. It is true, and my Africans know it's true. But what I know, what is more true, what I know, is what is more true is that there are way more Africans who desire a serious, positive, progressive relationship between Africans in the West and Africans in the East. Even though some of our brothers think that way, even though some of our sisters think that way, most of them do not think that way. Most of them are sincerely interested in building a relationship between Africans in Africa and Africans in America. I know that for a fact. And I'm not just saying that because I represent Pan-Africanism. I'm saying that because it's the truth. And guess what? There are African Americans who do espouse the Killmonger type of approach that says, I know Africa better than Africans. And I know what Africa needs to do better than Africans. And if I go to Africa, I'm not trying to hear nothing from the Africans. I want to dictate to the Africans. We also have some Negroes like that in America. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. It's not a lot of them, but we do have them who think they know more about Africa than the people who live there, who think they know more about Africa than the Africans who actually live there. And we know this. We have the experience of Liberia. We have the experience of Liberia, where the African Americans, the former slaves, went back to Liberia under the auspices of the American Colonization Society and began to do what? Dominate, destroy, marginalize, and oppress our native African brothers and sisters. We did that. We did that, y'all. We have to accept responsibility for why some Africans don't trust us. We went to Liberia and acted like white men in black skin. Yes, we did. We went to Liberia and acted like white men in black skin. Yes, we did. So there's some precedent. But I'm here to say that is in the past. Right now, we need a United States of Africa. And we need a United States of Africa for all Africans in the world. And I would like to be nominated as the president of the American African contingency of the United States of Africa. Yes. When we get to the United States of Africa, and when they start looking for who's going to represent Africans in America at the table of the United States of Africa, I want Prince and Ifatunde to be nominated. Yes, I want that seat. Respect to all the elders, but I am supposed to be in that seat. I'm just going to call it like I see it. Okay? Let's get back to the CIA's greatest hits. So they killed Lumumba in 61. They overthrew Nkrumah in 66. They murdered Malcolm X in 1965. Kwame Ture, Stokely Carmichael. Kwame Ture, Stokely Carmichael, he said, and you can watch it on YouTube, he said that the CIA gave him prostate cancer. I'm quoting the elder. I'm quoting the elder. I'm quoting the ancestor. Our ancestor, one of the greatest black revolutionaries of all time, Kwame Ture, a.k.a. Stokely Carmichael, he said towards the end of his death on an interview on television by a white man, I forget the show, Channel 12, PBS, you can watch it on YouTube. He said the CIA gave me prostate cancer. The CIA gave me prostate cancer. And then in 1975, in Angola, the People's Liberation Army was sabotaged by the CIA. 1962, for my South African brothers and sisters, remember when Nelson Mandela was arrested in 1962? Remember they arrested Nelson Mandela in 1962? Well, guess what? Y'all don't even know this. It was the CIA that tipped off the South African government as to Nelson Mandela's hiding places. It was the CIA that gave the South African government the intelligence that they used to arrest Nelson Mandela in 1962. If you don't believe me, do your research. If you don't believe me, do your research. If you don't believe me, do your research. And then in 1968, they murdered Dr. King. The Congo Civil War been going on forever over coltan. They financed both armies and paid them to fight each other. They financed both armies. Why do they finance both armies? Because you don't know who's going to win. So you finance both armies. Okay, so that way, no matter who wins, you get the resources. They sold dope to Black America. The CIA sold dope to Black America, still selling dope to Black America to finance coups in second and third world nations. The Iran-Contra scandal. The Iran-Contra scandal. If you haven't read the book Dark Alliance by Gary Webb, who the CIA murdered. If you haven't read the book Dark Alliance by Gary Webb, who the CIA murdered. If you haven't read the book Dark Alliance by Gary Webb, who the CIA murdered, you need to read it. Another must read. Okay. Bob Marley, 1981. How the hell do you get cancer in your big toe and die from it? How in the hell do you get cancer in your big toe and die from it? Remember the pair of sneakers that was given to Bob Marley as a gift? those Chuck Taylors, I think they were, whatever they were. There was the pen that picked Bob Marley big toe. I ain't talking about the fake confession. I ain't talking about that. I ain't talking about the fake confession that came out a couple months ago. I'm talking real life. That pen was treated with a certain type of man-made cancer. And that's how Bob Marley ended up getting cancer the way he got it. Nobody dies of cancer that fast. Nobody dies of cancer in the damn big toe. And it just so happens that the same toe where the cancer was developed was the toe that was pricked with that damn pin that was in those sneakers that Bob Marley was given as a gift. They murdered Bob Marley. Remember, they disrupted Bob Marley's concert in Zimbabwe, was it? What was the country where Bob Marley did the concert and the CIA went over there and they started spraying the concert with tear gas and smoke? They sabotaged the concert because Bob Marley, with his message of Garveyism, being a Rasta, was considered a significant threat. His music was considered verbal Garveyism. They considered Bob Marley a significant threat to U.S. foreign policy. And the Jamaican government was in bed with the U.S. government and its former colonizer in the U.K. They murdered Bob Marley. 1983, Maurice Bishop in Grenada. Ronald Reagan ordered Grenada invaded. Y'all remember that? Ronald Reagan ordered the invasion of Grenada and the assassination of Maurice Bishop. Ronald Reagan ordered the invasion of Grenada and the assassination of Maurice Bishop in 1983. First of all, if you know anything about cancer, half of the cancers were developed in the lab. Half of the cancers were developed in the lab. Show me a single case of African people dying from cancer prior to the white man in Africa. Show me that. Show me a single case of breast cancer in Africa. Show me a single case of prostate cancer in Africa prior to the 1400s. Show me one. And in Africa, there's extensive medical documentation. Show me in the papers of Imhotep, the greatest physician who ever lived, breast cancer, prostate cancer, cervical cancer. My point is that the CIA has no business being positively shown in this movie. But I want to go to something else for a minute, brothers and sisters. I want to go to the money made versus money earned. Black Panther has passed $1 billion. It is on its way to being the highest grossing movie ever. It is already the highest grossing Marvel movie ever at this point, from what I understand. $1 billion in less than a month. $1 billion in less than a month. Now, how much were the actors paid in Black Panther? Let's look at this. Let me pull up the salaries real quick. I got them written here. Let's deal with the financial exploitation of the movie. Where we at? Give me 1 second. I got it right here. This is going to blow your mind, because I'm about to compare the money made by the blacks in Panther to the money made by the whites in their Marvel movies. Let's look at this. Let's look at modern apartheid on the big screen. Let's look at Hollywood apartheid. That's what we're going to do right now. Hollywood apartheid. Okay. Y'all ready? Here we go. Lupita, $1 million. Angela Bassett, $400,000. Shuri, $500,000. Daniel from Get Out, $800,000. Michael B. Jordan, $1 million. Chadwick Boseman, $3 million. Denaya, the sister who played Tupac mom in Koye, $1 million. And last but not least, Forrest Whitaker, Oscar award-winning Best Actor. Forrest Whitaker, Oscar award-winning Best Actor, and he got paid $600,000. One more time. Lupita, $1 million. Angela Bassett, $400,000. Shuri, $500,000. Daniel from Get Out, $800,000. Michael B. Jordan, $1 million. Chadwick Boseman, $3 million. Nkoye Denaya, $1 million. Oscar award-winning Best Actor, Forrest Whitaker, $600,000. Now, are you ready to hear what the white folks make? Are you ready to hear what the white folks make? Here we go. Josh Brolin, who's going to be playing in Thanos, $2 million. The white man who plays Hulk Hogan, $3 million. Captain America, $8 million. Thor, the guy who plays Thor, $8 million. The white girl in Black Widow, $10 million. The white boy in Spider-Man, and he's a new actor. He's new. $3 million. The person who's playing Star-Lord, $5 million. The white guy for Doctor Strange, $3 million. Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man. Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man. Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man. 50, 50, 50. 50, 50, $50 million for Iron Man. Did you hear this? In other words, when you look at the pay of the actors of Black Panther, you get $3, $4, $5 to $6 million budget for your actors. The people who made $1 billion only got $5 million. The people who earned you $1 billion only got you only paid them $5 million. But when you look at these white ones, Iron Man, $50 million. Iron Man gets paid more than everybody in Black Panther times 10. This is the highest grossing Marvel movie ever, Black Panther. And nobody was paid more than $1 million except Chadwick Boseman. Nobody was paid more than $1 million except Chadwick Boseman. Nobody was paid more than $1 million except Chadwick Boseman. His $3 million as the highest paid actor in Black Panther is almost the lowest for the white ones. Chadwick Boseman's $3 million is almost at the lowest pay for the white actors in the Marvel series. Racism, and more racism. And then there's another issue that we have to hit on. And that is the issue of the LGBT complaining because they were not represented in this movie. There were multiple articles in major newspapers and magazines by LGBT complaining that they were not represented in the movie. They allege that in the original Black Panther comic book, one of the sisters in the Dora Milaje is a lesbian. And they expressed contempt at the fact that prior to the final cut of the Black Panther movie, there was a scene where one of the sisters in the Dora Milaje briefly flirted with another woman. It was cut out. I'm glad it was, because our children have no business being indoctrinated with anyone's sexual agenda. And so the LGBTs got upset that the gay scene was cut. Why do we need our children to be indoctrinated with our sexual agendas? I got a question I want to ask y'all. I got a critical question. Critical question. My question is, in this movie, based in Africa, mostly African actors, with an African hero, can you please explain to me why you didn't see a single mother with child in Black Panther? Can you explain to me why you didn't see a single black mother with child in Black Panther? Can somebody tell me how in the hell you have a movie based on the backdrop of African culture and there's not a single woman in the movie with a child? If you understand how important childbirth is in Africa, if you understand how important motherhood is in Africa, if you understand how important family is in Africa, can you please explain to me why there was not a single mother with child in Black Panther? Subliminal indoctrination, unconscious programming, all these beautiful women, and not one shows her maternal love for a baby. Why were there no children in this movie? Why was there no motherhood in this movie, except Queen Mother Angela Bassett, who rarely was in the movie? Where was the maternalism of African women? Are you ready for the answer? Let me drink to this. Our brother, Ta-Nehisi Coates, whose father is a celebrity in our community, brother who I respect, Black Paul Coates out of Baltimore, Black Classics Press. Nothing but good things to say about the elder. Nothing but respect for the son. Ta-Nehisi Coates, congratulations to him, was given an 11 comic book deal, or 11 issue deal, from what I understand, as was reported by the media, to write some follow-up comic stories for Black Panther. Whether he chose her or not, I do not know, but many of these comics have been and will be written, co-authored by Roxane Gay. Roxane Gay is an LGBT activist. I don't know the sister. I don't have anything negative to say about her. I'm only mentioning her name because she and brother Ta-Nehisi Coates have already authored at least one issue of the next series of Black Panther. It's available in the bookstore, and I suggest you go and get it. All Black parents, I suggest you go and get it. Go and get the newest issue of Black Panther in the bookstore, written by Roxane Gay and Ta-Nehisi Coates. And the reason I want you to see this is because it's going to answer the question why you didn't see any families in Black Panther. It's going to answer the question why you didn't see any mothers with children in Black Panther. It's going to answer the question why you did not see any real intimacy, not sex, but intimacy between a black man and a black woman and their children in Black Panther. How in the hell is there a movie on Africa with no African families? How in the hell is there a movie on Africa without no African families? I'm going to tell you why. Because in this issue of Black Panther, go to the bookstore and get the book. There is heavy lesbian content in the comic book. So if you want to know why, There was no heterosexual intimacy in Black Panther at all. At all. Is because I can almost promise you, and I've never been wrong on a prediction yet, I can almost guarantee you that the next Black Panther movie will have LBGTQIA themes all throughout it. It's already being written. Ta-Nehisi Coates and Roxanne Gay is paving the way. The content will be there. It's going to be up to brother Ryan Coogler to do what he does, but if Ryan Coogler doesn't okay it, they're going to move him out the way and get somebody else to direct the movie. Facts. Facts. Just like Barack Obama, Negroes never learn. Just like with Barack Obama, Negroes never learn. They gave you Obama. They hooked you. Like you catch a they hooked you with Obama. And once they had you hooked and distracted with Obama, they took everything you fought for and gave it to everybody else. Through Obama, Black folks have experienced a work setback in America since the Civil Rights Movement. They doing the same thing with Black Panther. In fact, they should have had Barack Obama play Prince T'Challa. That's who they should have had. Barack Obama should have got his beta male ass in that movie. That's what should have happened. Okay? Prince T'Challa is Barack Obama for the big screen. Beta male, doing nothing for Black folks around the world, serving the interests of the CIA. I'm promising you, the next movie, I don't know if you want to take your children to see that one. The next Black Panther, you're going to have to go see it before you take your children. I'm not disrespecting nobody. I'm stating the facts and I'm giving my opinions and prophecies of Ifa Tunde. And the prophecies of Ifa Tunde have never been proven wrong. Go get the Black Panther magazine, brothers and sisters. Go get the comic book and you will see what I'm talking about. LGBT content, they kissing and hugging and everything up in that comic book. Go get the comic book. Go get it. The reason there was no Black family because the CIA has a population control campaign going on in Africa. It is the CIA that's spreading AIDS with Bill Gates in Africa. It's the CIA that's paying Black women in Africa to get abortions and hysterectomies. It's the CIA that's telling African governments that you have to accept alternative sexual lifestyles if you want to get any of this loan or grant money from the World Bank and the IMF. I told you that the Black Panther movie was a CIA operation. Facts. And they are undisputed. Sure, you should take your child to go see Black Panther. This one, I don't know about the next one. We got yeah, take them. And then once you get home, give them the education. Make sure they understand, understand, and overstand the subliminal content in Black Panther. Make sure they understand, understand, and overstand the political content. Make sure they understand, understand, and overstand the CIA's attempts to co-opt their minds. If you are a Black teacher, you can use this movie to do so much for our children. You can inspire them. Oh my goodness, I can't wait till I get FDMG. I'm going to have a whole class on Black Panther because you can deal with the political, you can deal with the cultural, you can deal with the spiritual, you can deal with the CIA, the white supremacy, you can deal with the cultural clashes between African American, Garveyism. You can deal with the CIA itself, its overthrow of African leaders. If you're teaching high school students, first of all, I just got an idea. Happy birthday to Queen Mother Harriet Tubman. Happy birthday to Queen Mother Harriet Tubman. A real Dora Milaje. See, we got a real Dora. Queen Mother Harriet Tubman, that's the real leader of the Dora Milaje. Oh, yes. Queen Mother Assata Shakur. Queen Mother Assata Shakur, that's the real Nkoye. Fannie Lou Hamer, Nanny of the Maroons, Ya Ashantewa, Queen Nzinga, Betty Shabazz, Coretta Scott, Amy Garvey. Oh, we got a real female military. We don't need cartoons. But the question is, will black educators seize the moment? Will black educators seize the moment? I'm going to help you seize the moment. I got a little bit of downtime on my hands as I refocus my life and try to get one of these schools. If you want Dr. Umar Johnson to come and present to your classroom on the historical, cultural, spiritual, and political underpinnings and messages in the Black Panther movie, if you want the Prince of Pan-Africanism to come present to your class on the historical, political, spiritual, and cultural implications of the Black Panther movie, feel free to get in contact with me. I will not charge you if it's for your class. Okay? Send me an email. If you want to do it for the whole school, we can do it for the whole school. Send me an email, drumarjohnson@yahoo.com. If you don't want to give the lesson, because some of you don't know nothing, I will come give the lesson. Okay, excuse me. All right. Anyhow, they were upset that they were not represented in the movie. See, what's happening with Black Panther is the experiment of the CIA is working. They used the first movie to hook them in. Hook your kids in, hook the parents in, everybody putting on made in China dashikis. Why so many people got made in China dashikis? I got about 200 of them from Africa. Yours are made in China. You know why? Why most of y'all went out and got a made in China dashiki to go to the movies with? Because you ain't motivated enough to go to Africa yourself. That's why. Because if you were motivated to go to Africa yourself, you wouldn't need no made in China dashikis, because you can go and get the real one. And guess what? You can get the real ones made at a price that is cheaper than the ones you bought from the Chinese man. Facts. 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 Scroll up here on this Facebook. So, the men were betas, the women were alphas. See, I didn't have a problem with the Dora Milaje. Let me be clear. For those of us who study African history, we know what? We know that there are African societies, ancient and pre-modern. There are African societies, ancient and pre-modern, who had female military brigades. There were kingdoms in Africa that were totally ruled by black women. This is a teaching point for our teachers. Y'all need to take the little girls, our beautiful African princesses, take them to the library, take them to the black bookstore, get off the damn internet for a second, take them to the library, take them to the bookstore, show them how to do research. 9th graders, 10th graders, 7th graders, 8th graders, they should be doing research papers on traditional African female military units in Africa. Traditional African female military units in Africa. Yes, they were all female military units. The Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey was the first leader since slavery to have an all-female military brigade, the Universal African Motor Corps. Teach our girls about Marcus Garvey's, the most honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, an all-female military brigade known as the Universal African Motor Corps. The Minister Louis Farrakhan at times has an all-female security detail. That's not new. And I'm glad they showed it in Panther. I'm glad they showed that. Them sisters look good. Somebody tell Lupita to get at the prince, by the way. Okay? But anyhow, them sisters, I love them outfits. I'm glad they saw that. My only concern is that the female military, which was perfect, I'm glad it was there, but it was not balanced. Brother Ryan Coogler, you didn't balance the female military, the alpha energy, the female masculinity. You did not balance that with African female maternity and motherhood energy. Imagine how beautiful it would have been if the sister is a secured a guard in the daytime. She's doing military in the daytime, and then at night she's home loving her husband and children. What if you would have saw Lupita at night loving her husband and breastfeeding her child? What if you would have saw Nkoye at night breastfeeding her baby, rocking them to sleep, talking to them while hugging her husband? We didn't see motherhood in this movie. We didn't see African womanism. We didn't see maternity. The women were alphas and the men were betas, and the only alpha men were all negatively portrayed. Okay? Now, South Korea. South Korea was included in this movie. CIA. Remember, they had to go and meet Agent Ross and meet Claw and intercept the vibranium trade at that nightclub. Y'all remember that, right? Well, remember when they pulled up, it was a South Korean woman who guarded the entrance to the club. Why was there a South Korean scene in this movie? The reason there was a South Korean scene in this movie is because America is trying to earn brownie points with South Korea because America is at odds with North Korea. And so one of the new strategies for the United States of America going forward is to do what? Earn brownie points with nations who they need. So by having a small little scene of South Korea with a South Korean woman, they're trying to earn foreign diplomatic points with the Korean people. Did you know Lupita, although she was born in Mexico, her father was just elected as a provincial governor in her homeland? Lupita's father was recently elected as a provincial governor in her African homeland. Is that a coincidence? Hell no. Let me tell you what the CIA is up to, brothers and sisters. Let me tell you what the CIA is up to, brothers and sisters. The new African takeover, the new colonization. They're not going to give you money. They're not going to give you resources. They're going to give you your own people on the big screen as a trade-off for political concessions. Listen to me. This is a prophecy of Ifa Tunde. Don't forget you heard it from me first. Hollywood is going to be the new payoff for African countries to give America what she wants. Yes. They're going to roll up to Ghana and say, listen, Ghana, we need some of that oil. Two of your people was starred in the movie we had. Nigeria, we need some gas. We have 5 Nigerians in our 5 top grossing movies. South Africa, look how many of y'all actors we done had on the big screen. You know y'all people want to see themselves in America's Hollywood. If you don't give me some of them diamonds, we're going to have to cut out South African actors. We ain't going to see no Ethiopian actors. They're going to go to the Gambia. One of your own children is starring in a major movie. We gave this one an Oscar. We gave this one an Emmy. We gave this one a that. I'm telling you what's going on, and I hope Africa don't fall for it. I hope Africa doesn't fall for the CIA Hollywood trick. I hope Africa doesn't fall for the CIA Hollywood trick, because now they're going to go into Africa and say, nah, we ain't got no money, but we got Hollywood. And if you give us this, we will put some of your children in Hollywood and we will make them multi-millionaires, and they could be token Negroes in Hollywood for all of the African people. I know what's going on. I know what's going on. Now, let me deal with another issue going on. So we got the LBGTs upset, but they will be appeased the next movie. They're already appeased in the comic books in the bookstore. Courtesy of Ta-Nehisi Coates and Roxanne Gay, we now have LGBT romance in the Black Panther comic. But guess what else is going on? Guess what else is going on? Samuel L. Jackson, who has been guilty of cooning occasionally, much respect to him. I love the movie he played, Coach Carter. Shout out to the real Coach Carter. I did get your message, Coach Carter, and I will be calling you. My apologies on the delay. Samuel L. Jackson was interviewed, as were other actors. And American African actors are complaining that Hollywood is replacing them with our brothers and sisters from the continent. I repeat, American African actors are complaining that they are being replaced on the big screen by Africans from the continent. And brothers and sisters want to know what Dr. Umar thinks about Hollywood replacing African Americans with continental Africans. What are your thoughts on this problem, Dr. Umar? I have two schools of thought. Number one, and I want all African American actors to hear me well, Samuel L. Jackson and the rest of y'all, listen to me. You cannot get upset at Hollywood for using continental Africans to play African roles themselves, or even to play ethnic African American roles, i.e. Lupita, 12 Years a Slave, i.e. Nkoye, Tupac's mom, All Eyes on Me. You can't get upset when most African American actors do not identify with Africa, do not identify with Black consciousness, do not care to learn about slavery. How the hell you gonna get mad at continental Africans taking your Black roles when you don't even want to be Black? Could you imagine what would have happened if Ryan Coogler went to some of these African American sisters and said, listen, I want you in Black Panther, but you got to shave off your perm and grow your nappy hair back? How you think that would have went over? How do you think that if Ryan Coogler would have said, cut the perm, cut the weave, get rid of the blonde hair, African American women would have lost their damn mind. African American female actors would have lost your damn mind. So what you complaining about? That's what you get. It's the consequences of not wanting to be Black. That's one of the consequences of not wanting to be Black. If you don't want to be Black, we will go and get some Africans to play the Black roles. That's why Lupita wasn't 12 Years a Slave, because you ain't want to cut your hair off and go natural. That's why Nkoye was playing Tupac mom, because you don't want nothing to do with Black consciousness. That's why they were in Panther and not you, because you too busy trying to be a white girl and they too busy trying to be who they are. Shout out to Lupita for keeping your hair natural. Shout out to Lupita for getting upset at the European magazine that tried to lighten her skin and straighten her hair. Lupita said, I don't look like that. I'm a dark-skinned woman with nappy hair, and I'm proud of who I am. So guess what, African-American women? You better get your damn culture back, or you will be left in the back. You better get your damn culture back, or you will be left in the back. That's one line of thought. That's one line of thought. Second line of thought, it don't make a difference to me because ain't none of y'all doing nothing for black folks in America. Let me say that again. It don't make a difference whether they cast American African or continental African. Ain't none of y'all doing nothing for black folks. So what difference does it make? A coon is a coon is a coon. I'm just going to keep it gangster. But I'm going to tell you this much. Let Lupita or Nkoye or any of those Africans in that movie come to Dr. Umar talking about we want to help you out with FDMG and help you out. Guess what? I will start campaigning for Africans to take all y'all roles in the movie. In other words, I'm going to support whoever is supporting us, period. If the African-American actors start supporting African people at home and abroad, I'm going to start campaigning for y'all. But if y'all let the Africans come over here and start doing more for black folks than y'all ever did, guess what? They can take all y'all roles. I don't give a damn if I never see none of y'all perm wearers again in my life. I don't care if I never see another skin bleaching, I'm not from Africa woman. How you going to be in an Africa movie when you say you're not even from Africa? How you going to get mad if you not in a movie from Africa, about Africa, and you say you don't come from Africa? How you going to be in 12 Years a Slave when you say your people were not slaves? As some of you ridiculous Negroes be screaming. See? That's your fault. I'm blaming the actors for that. Y'all done went so far in your campaign to disassociate yourself from black people, black Africa, and the black struggle that you are the reason Lupita taking your jobs. You are the reason all those African actors are taking your jobs. Now, is the CIA doing it on purpose? Yeah. Yeah. Because African Americans have been marked for extermination. African Americans have been marked for extermination. African Americans have been marked for extermination. So what is the best way to get rid of blacks without the rest of the world knowing you're getting rid of blacks? Replace them with continental Africans. That's what they're going to do. That's what they're going to do. As they get rid of you, kill off 10 black men, import 10 Africans. Kill off 10 black women, import 10 African women. And then once they get rid of all of us, they'll just send all the Africans back to Africa. I told you this before. We are the only Africans in the world. I told you this before. We are the only Africans in the world. I told you this before. We are the only non-white people in the United States who cannot be deported. You cannot deport African Americans because our historical and psychological connection to our ancestral homeland was destroyed by slavery. They cannot deport you. They cannot deport you. Nor do you want to be deported. You love the white man. So what do you do with people you can't deport because you enslaved them, and you can't deport them because they don't want to be black? You got to kill them off. Mass incarceration, black on black crime, police genocide, AIDS and cancer, LGBT, and the list goes on. And the list goes on. But I will say this. In defense of African American actors, because I got to rep y'all and I got to rep them. I'm Pan-Africanist. My sisters in Africa, I love them as much as my sisters in America. My brothers in Africa, I love them as much as my brothers in America. I am not Prince T'Challa. I am not. Prince T'Challa cares about Wakanda, and that's it. Him and his father are African nationalists. They care about their nation only. I am a Pan-African nationalist. I love all my people wherever we are. Hell, my wife might be from Africa. You understand? It's all the same to me. It's all the same to me. That's Pan-Africanism. One big family, different languages, one big family, different nationality, one big family, different ethnic groups, one big family, different religion, one big family. Woo! That's Pan-Africanism. That's Pan-Africanism. Okay? But I want to say this in defense of African American actors. To my beautiful co-wife to be Lupita, to the sister who played Nkoye, okay? Allegedly, some of our African actors participated in some interviews where they spoke negatively about African Americans portraying continental Africans in various roles in Hollywood. And from what I've been told, Lupita and others said they did not really like the way African Americans portrayed Africans on the big screen. In other words, quote, it sounded as if they were suggesting that African Americans are not good enough to play African roles. Okay? To Lupita, Nkoye, Daniel from Get Out, Shuri, all of you, and I think Shuri's from South America. Here's what I want to say to Africans coming to America for Hollywood and other reasons. If you come here and you try to disrespect us when you're standing on the progress of struggle that we died for, there's a whole history that goes with blacks in Hollywood. There's a whole history that goes with the African American struggle to gain access into Hollywood and to play positive roles and to star in their own films. It did not start with y'all. It started with us. So respectfully, Lupita, please watch your damn mouth, because although I am a Pan-Africanist, you will not disrespect my sisters by saying they cannot play you, but yet you have no problem playing us. Let me say it again. You will not disrespect American African women by saying they're not good enough to play you, but yet you have no problem playing us. Those type of comments are disrespectful of the black struggle that paved the way for you. Those types of comments are disrespectful of the experiences that American Africans have had prior to the opportunities that you received. Make no mistake, you're only in Hollywood because we opened the doors for you. Make no mistake, you can only do what you do in America because we laid down and died for the right to do that. So don't you dare come here and disassociate yourself from us. Because if you do that, I will reject your ass. And won't nobody come see your movies. Okay? That's just a warning. Come here as an African. See us as African. Embrace us as African. But the minute you try to start a tribalism issue between Africans from Africa and African descendants of the enslaved, I will expose your ass, because under the umbrella of Pan-Africanism, I will not tolerate no African. I will not tolerate no African Caribbean. I will not tolerate no Africans in the UK. I will not tolerate no African American disrespecting another population. You will not. I don't care who do it. Whether it's Africans in America, Africans in Africa, I don't want to hear no divisive talk. We are in this together. We are all we got. The white man don't give a damn whether you from Africa or not. Genocide means the extermination of the entire race. Genocide means the extermination of the entire race. Not just us and not just you. So if you come with that European T'Challa type mentality, we will reject you. With that being said, I'm proud of my African actors. I love them as much as our African American actors. And our African American actors need to get your act together and stop complaining. Stop complaining about people taking your roles when you don't want to be who you are. I want to go to something. I did not appreciate two things in the movie. Well, a couple things. We already talked about the CIA. Why did the Jabari tribe, M'Baku's people, the gorilla people, why did they have to go around barking like gorillas? Was that necessary? What was the purpose of having them bark like gorillas? Now, I haven't studied every African culture, but I've studied a lot, and I'm not aware of any African culture that barks like animals. I'm not aware of that. So I need Brother Coogler, Marvel Disney, because I know Ryan didn't make all these decisions himself. The producer controls, not the director. I need somebody to explain to me why it was necessary to have our brothers barking like apes. Why was that necessary? Why was it necessary for M'Baku to make a joke about feeding Agent Ross to his children? And then, of course, he cleared it up and said we're all vegan. So I did appreciate that because I thought it was a sarcastic way of dismissing the European notion that Africans are cannibals. You can't prove it. Go to countries with severe epidemics of hunger and famine, and Africans still don't eat each other. You can't show it. Go to any place where there's been famine, you cannot find a single incident of an African eating the flesh of another African. Okay. Am I to say it absolutely never has happened? No. There's always some variation in human experience, but there's no way you're going to convince me that that was something that we did regularly and ritualistically, because human flesh has always been a taboo in every African culture. So I did appreciate how he cleaned it up and said we're vegetarian. That was powerful. But at the same time, I don't know if the joke needed to be made at all. And I definitely don't think they need to be barking like gorillas. But then on top of that, well, they wasn't doing a chant. They were doing the gorilla growl or grunt is what they were doing. The other thing I didn't appreciate was the two elders in the movie who had the big cup in the lip. And I'm very, very, I've studied. There are different cultures in Africa where the decorations, the nose, the ears, the lip, that's real. That is very real. Okay. And I respect those cultures. But I feel that one of the reasons that was injected in the movie was to try to, despite all the technology and intelligence in Wakanda and within African people, I still felt that there was a need by Hollywood. I still felt that there was some sort of agenda or thirst by Marvel and Disney to try to portray African people as somehow primitive and uncivilized. It was still in the movie. Okay? It was still there. That whole Hollywood a legacy of trying to represent us as some sort of infantile people, some sort of population stuck between being half man and half monkey. I felt that was there. They highlighted the greatness, but they still took shots at us. I'll give you another one. Do you remember the nightclub scene when Ulysses Claw walked in to trade the titanium with Agent Ross? And Ulysses Claw walked in with a whole entourage? What did Agent Ross say? Did you catch what he said? Agent Ross said, I see you have a whole entourage with you. Do you have a mixtape coming out? Did y'all catch that? Did y'all catch that? He said, you have a whole entourage with you. Do you have a mixtape? Now, the only people who put out mixtapes are rappers. And of course, rappers are known to have large entourages. What was the purpose of that? See, you got to study these movies because every frame and every cut and every edit and every prop and every statement has an intent to communicate a certain idea to the mind of the viewer. To the mind of the viewer. And I need to say that I have a problem with those of you who had a problem with those brothers and sisters who put out petitions to ask Marvel Disney to pay some reparations to black folks. Yes, they should pay reparations to black folks. Do you know how long Disney and Marvel have been exploiting, co-opting, misrepresenting African people and African culture for financial gain? Do you not remember the Disney cartoons where they was cooking black people? Do you not remember the Tasmanian devil? Does anybody even know why they created a Tasmanian devil? It was a racist caricature. You know that little small black thing that was just running all around? A Tasmanian devil. That was a racist caricature of the Tasmanian people of Australia. There's an island off the coast of Australia known as Tasmania, where the British went in and exterminated every living man, woman, and child. The British went in and exterminated every man, woman, and child in Tasmania, and Walt Disney crowned the genocide by creating a cartoon of the exterminated people, the Tasmanian devil. Are you people crazy? You damn right they owe us reparations. See, the problem with Negroes is we're so used to being taken advantage of. The problem with Negroes is we're so used to being exploited that when somebody says we need to be compensated, the rest of us rush to the defense of our oppressors. The rest of us rush to the defense of our oppressors. If you don't think we need compensation, keep that to yourself. If you don't think Disney or Marvel owes black people compensation, keep your damn mouth shut. Why must you speak against something that ain't bothering you? You damn right they owe us. Not only do they owe us for the negative portrayals of African people throughout the Disney cartoons, they owe us for the fact that they stole the African Orisha deities from Nigeria and turned them into superheroes. Yes, the original pantheon of the Marvel Universe is the exact same pantheon of the Orisha cosmological system of the Yoruba. Yes. Let's start with Charles Xavier. Charles Xavier is the elder of the X-Men. He's the father of the X-Men. His spiritual gift is mentalism. He can use consciousness to control other people's thoughts. He's the elder of the X-Men. You know where they stole that concept from? They stole it from the father of the Orisha, Obatala. Orisha in La, who wears all white, is the father of the Orisha, is responsible for creating man, is the fashioner of all heads. He's responsible for all children with deformities. X-Men. Obatala is responsible for all children with deformities. The X-Men. Obatala is responsible for all children with unique gifts and deformities. Remember, the X-Men are considered quote-unquote freaks. Obatala is the father of all heads, and he is the father in particularly of children who have quote-unquote unique talents or deformities. Xavier is Obatala. Let's keep on going. Storm, the female energy that creates and sustains the cycles of life. Hurricanes, tornado, strong wind. Who is that? That is the Orisha Oya, the goddess mother of the wind, the creator of the cycles of change, the blesser of the courts of finance, the guardian of the cemeteries, and the leader of the Agungun ancestor order. They stole that. Let's keep on going. Thor and Superman. Thor and Superman are manifestations of Shango energy. Look at Thor. Thor's colors are what? Red and yellow. Thor's weapon is what? A double-sided axe. Thor always travels with the what? Thor travels with the lightning. Whenever you see a poster of Thor, you see the double-sided axe, you see the lightning, you see the red and gold uniform. Well, whose colors is red and gold? Shango. Who is the repository of masculine energy? Shango. Who has a double-sided axe? Shango. Whose element is thunder and lightning? Shango. Oh, these are all coincidences, right? These are all coincidences, right? These are all coincidences, right? In the Justice League, you had what? Olokun. Okay, Aquaman. Aquaman, the masculine male energy that resides at the bottom of the ocean. That is Olokun. And Olokun can also be represented as female, but is often represented as male. Olokun means the owner of all water. Olokun is the second most powerful Orisha, second only to Obatala, because whereas Obatala created the earth, Olokun controls the water, and there's much more water than earth. Aquaman is Olokun. Let's go to Wolverine. Wolverine is next, whose name happens to be Ogun. Logan, Ogun. Take the L off of Logan, Ogun. When Wolverine gets mad, 3 machetes come out of each fist. Ogun is the waver of 2 machetes. His divine number is 3. Ogun is the manifestation of iron. He's the energy of iron. Okay? It is the energy of persistence, determination, production. He is the warrior Orisha, just like Logan with the 3 machetes and Magoon with his 3 machetes. They stole the entire Orisha pantheon and turned it into the damn X-Men and turned it into the Marvel comic universe. Yes, they owe us. Yes, they owe us. And black teachers, you need to do an entire series on teaching your children how they stole the deities of West Africa and turned them into the superheroes of Marvel Comics. Facts. 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 You better believe they owe us. Oh, you better believe they owe us. But as I was starting to say earlier, the significance of the gorilla tribe is the fact that the real vibranium, coltan, okay, columbium, okay, there's 8 major countries in Africa that have gorillas. There's 8 major countries in Africa that have gorillas. 2 of the 8 is the Congo and the Democratic Republic of the Congo. The 8th is significant because it shows that the vibranium was coltan, that it was columbium, the true secret metal of technological and militaristic advancement. And those monkeys, those gorillas, the gorilla tribe to me is symbolic of the fact that vibranium is really columbium, and it comes from the Congo, which is one of the nations in Africa with one of the highest populations of primates and gorillas. And check this out. Check this out. Gorillas in the Congo are almost extinct. Gorillas in the Congo are approaching extinction. Okay? Does anybody want to know why? Why are the gorillas in the Congo approaching extinction? The reason the gorillas in the Congo are approaching extinction is because the warlords that the CIA pays to steal the coltan are killing the gorillas to protect themselves in the jungle as they mine for the coltan and to protect themselves in the jungle as they fight the other gangs. So gorillas have become collateral damage. Listen to me. This is the significance of the gorilla in the Black Panther movie. Gorillas are increasingly becoming an endangered species in both the Congo and the Democratic Republic of the Congo because the gangs are killing them off as collateral damage as part of their war against each other to get the coltan to the CIA. Facts. 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 I'm about to bring this to a close. I got so much here. I didn't get to everything. But a few more points. I'll probably do a part 2. I'm going to do a part 2 to the Black Panther, okay? I'm going to do a part 2. Okay? I'm going to definitely do a part 2. But let me say this. This is going to blow your mind. This is going to blow your mind. When the movie comes on, they talk about how the Panther goddess Bast blessed the Wakandan people with the purple heart herb and the vibranium, which allows the kings to become the Black Panther. Bast is a deity of Kemetic origin, right? Ancient Kemet, Egypt. We also know that all cats originate in ancient Kemet. It's a scientific fact. Ancient Kemet is the land of the cat. Kittens. They were the first to domesticate the kittens as well. But here's what I want you to get. Here's some more symbolism in the movie, which is why you got to be politically educated to decode and decipher these movies. This is about to blow your mind. Bast is responsible for the Wakandan people's ability to mine and use vibranium to become technologically sophisticated. I want you to draw a parallel. Guess what is the name? Guess what is the name? Guess what is the name of the American company which is the largest seller of the real vibranium, coltan? What is the name of the United States company which is the world's largest supplier of coltan, the real vibranium? The name of the company is K-E-M-E-T. Kemet. The company that is stealing the coltan is actually named Kemet. Look at the parallel. The goddess Baz blesses the Wakandan people with the metal that they can use to develop themselves in a manner no other country can. The American company Kemet supplies the whole world with coltan, the real vibranium, so everyone around the world can make weapons of mass destruction and can technologically advance its country while it keeps Africa as a second and third world nation. Look at the symbolism there. Just like you had a parallel between Eric Killmonger and Shaka Zulu, you have the parallel between the goddess Bass and the American company Kemet. And speaking of Eric Killmonger, did you notice that Agent Ross said Eric Killmonger is a graduate of MIT? Did y'all catch that? Eric Killmonger was a graduate of MIT. Did y'all catch that? Eric Killmonger was not just a soldier. According to CIA agent Ross, he was also trained in how to destabilize countries. And if he's trained in how to destabilize countries, that means he can also do what? Destabilize America. If Eric Killmonger was trained by the United States government and the CIA in the art of destabilizing countries. Based on what I got from Agent Ross, Eric Killmonger was a paid assassin for the United States government. Eric Killmonger was a killer for hire by the United States. He was a mercenary for the international banking cartel, a CIA mercenary trained in the art of destabilizing countries whose foreign policies are not favorable to America. You know what that means? He's not only used to kill, he is intelligent. Eric Killmonger is just as intelligent as T'Challa's sister Zuri. In fact, if you give Eric Killmonger that vibranium, who knows what that brother might be able to create? He graduated from MIT. How many brothers in the military graduated from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology? For those of you who don't know, this is the leading university in America responsible for video games, military assimilation training, bombs, nuke missiles, modernizing military equipment. Eric Killmonger went to MIT. So guess what? If that brother would have had a chance to lead Wakanda, you can best believe Wakanda would have took over the world. He was the example of how you learn everything your enemy has to teach. Eric Killmonger learned everything his enemy had to teach him so he could one day use it for the benefit of the Pan-African struggle, brother. Eric Killmonger, there's so much you can do with the character of Eric Killmonger. He knew From the day his father was murdered by his uncle and they abandoned him, just like King Shaka, he knew he would eventually go back to Africa. But before I go back, let me learn everything that the white man knows. Let me learn his military. Let me learn his science. Let me learn his CIA. So when I go back to Africa, I'm not just going back with philosophy. I'm not just going back with the ideology of Pan-Africanism. I'm going back with the militaristic and technical know-how on how to take that country back. Powerful. Powerful. Some of y'all didn't even realize the brother went to MIT. He wasn't some gangster off the street who just wanted to kill. That brother knew how to use America's strategy against America. He was playing chess. He was playing chess while T'Challa was playing checkers. He was playing chess while T'Challa was playing checkers. Under T'Challa, Wakanda gonna be gone. They done told that white man everything there is to know about their secrets. They would have never learned that stuff under Killmonger. Now, I know what y'all gonna say. Y'all gonna say, but wait a minute, Doc. This brother shot his own girlfriend. He murdered the African priest. Forrest Whitaker stabbed him. He choked the sister responsible for cultivating the purple herb. He disrespected all the women. Of course, they had to write that into the script. If they did not write into the script Eric Killmonger's disrespect of everything African people hold sacred, he would have been the protagonist. They had to protect T'Challa as the protagonist. The CIA could not let a Pan-Africanist be the protagonist. In the first Marvel movie with a main black character, they couldn't allow that. So of course he shot his girlfriend. There they go again, symbolizing the black man's hatred for the black woman. Pushing the stereotype that black men don't value black women. As far as Killmonger was concerned, his girlfriend was collateral damage in the fight. That was Hollywood. That was CIA trickery to make you hate the man who fighting for your freedom and love the man who don't give a damn about you. That was the CIA. Entertainment industry liaison. They had to write that in there. I don't think Ryan Coogler wanted to do that, but he ain't have no choice because it ain't his money that made the movie. He didn't want to do that, but he didn't have no choice. It wasn't his money that made the movie. They had to make Killmonger extremely disrespectful of African culture because they needed to prove a point. Of course he choked the sister. They had to write that in. Of course he made the sister burn up the purple herb. Of course he killed the priest. How you gonna kill an African priest and become king? That's ridiculous. African democracy is the king, okay, the elders, in the village itself. The king, the elders, and the village itself. That's where the United States got the presidency, the Senate, and the Supreme Court. They stole it from us. The executive branch, the legislative branch, the judicial branch. That's based on African culture, where you have the Nana, the Oba, the king. You have the elders. You have the queen mother, who's even more powerful than the king. And you have the people. Our kingdoms are not ran like European kingdoms, which brings up another point. In Africa, there's no such thing as two cousins fighting for the throne. That's precisely why you have matrilineal societies and patrilineal societies. Let me say that again. That was some white man stuff right there. That was some white man stuff. They clearly took that from Europe. In Africa, you don't fight for the throne. It's a bloodline inheritance. In Africa, you do not fight for the throne. It is a bloodline inheritance. Matrilineal society means the mother's lineage is responsible for determining who the next king will be based on birth. Patrilineal society, the king's bloodline determines who will be the next king on birth. There is no fighting for the throne. Now, that was Hollywood. There is no fighting for the throne. So if there's no fighting for the throne, why was there fighting for the throne? Because they had to push the narrative of black on black crime. They had to push the narrative of Africans fighting with African Americans, Africans fighting against each other during the Civil War. The hate that they love to project about us against each other was very prominent in this movie. If you notice, the only time there was a fight between whites and blacks was when Killmonger killed Eric Claw. That was it. That was it. That was it. And the reason why Eric Claw was in there as a German is because if you've been paying close attention to current events, the German government is not a Donald Trump supporter, and the German government is now saying that it wants nothing to do with Donald Trump. And that's why Germany instead of Russia, because normally Russia is the antagonist, right? In every movie, Russia is always bad. CIA. Russia is always bad because of the Cold War. So now Germany is bad because Germany is no longer on the Donald Trump bandwagon. Everything is political. As Fred Hampton would say, everything is political. Movies is political. Clothing is political. Everything is political. And y'all have to be able to understand that everything is political. They had to make Killmonger do those excessive acts of disrespect. Otherwise, he would have been your protagonist. They know what's going on in black consciousness. They know what's going on in the Pan-African world. They watch these YouTube videos. They watching my Facebook Live. They watching my YouTube Live right now. They know Pan-Africanism is back, and they have to kill it before it takes root in Africa. Zbigniew Brzezinski. If you haven't read Zbigniew Brzezinski, please read his book, The Grand Chessboard. If you haven't read Zbigniew Brzezinski's book, Grand Chessboard, please read it. Zbigniew Brzezinski helped the Rockefellers create the Trilateral Commission for the CFR. Okay. He's a major influence on the Council of Foreign Relations itself. Okay. He's an ally of the CIA. He basically engineered Barack Obama's presidency, and he's the white man who stated out of his own mouth, okay, that the greatest threat to American interests is the political economic unification of Africans in America and Africans in Africa. I'm going to say it again. The man who created the Trilateral Commission for the Rockefellers told them and the U.S. government that the greatest threat to your foreign interests is the unification of Africans in America and Africans in Africa. In other words, there's only one thing that can destroy white supremacy. In other words, there's only one thing that can destroy white supremacy. In other words, there's only one thing that can destroy white supremacy. Not Islam, not Hebrewism, not Moorish science, not Nawapianism, not the Bible. Pan-African nationalism. Pan-African nationalism. That's why the whole movie, Black Panther, was about destroying Pan-African nationalism. And that's why Killmonger. Can I ask you a question? Let me ask y'all a question. What superhero movie can you name where the leading antagonist, the villain, can you name a Marvel movie where the lead antagonist, the villain, dies in the very first movie? Can somebody name one for me? Because when I watch Batman, and I know Batman is DC, not Marvel, but it's all white comics. But when I watch Batman, the Joker never dies. Superman, Lex Luthor never dies. Spider-Man, Green Goblin never dies. Can somebody tell me how Killmonger, the leading villain in the Black Panther movie, dies the first movie? Can somebody explain that to me? I need some help. I'm not a comic book junkie. I don't read fiction. My life is all about reality. But can somebody please tell me how Killmonger dies the first movie? Villains never die. They never die. But they killed Killmonger. Because in killing Killmonger, we symbolically killed revolutionary Pan-African nationalism. In killing Killmonger, we symbolically killed revolutionary Pan-African nationalism. This was much more than the movie. This was much more than the movie. Some of y'all don't listen. I can see some of you don't listen. So this is what I'm going to do. Since some of us don't listen, from now on, if you make a statement that is not based on what I said, if you make a statement that misrepresents what I say, I'm going to block you. I'm not just going to block haters. I'm going to block people who don't listen. I didn't say that no villains die. I said the leading antagonist rarely, if ever, dies. That's what I said. Okay? So the next time you make a statement, because your listening comprehension skills, do you need special ed? Because I got my IQ test. Y'all need me to pull out the IQ test? I think we got some special ed people on the live feed today, because you know I am a school psychologist, okay? Anyhow, he died. And when Killmonger walked into the throne to see T'Challa for the first time, what did he say? He said, y'all living good. Killmonger said, y'all living good, but there's 2 million people, 2 billion people all over the world who look just like us. Pause. Where do y'all hear that all the time? Pause. Who says that almost every lecture that he gives? Where did you ever hear there's 2 billion people who look just like us all around the world? I could have sworn Dr. Umar Johnson says that. Anyhow, Killmonger said, y'all living good. There's 2 billion people who look like us all around the world. And y'all don't want to help him out. Remember now, Lupita was going to leave T'Challa at the beginning of the movie. Why? Why was Lupita going to leave T'Challa? Lupita was going to leave T'Challa because she said there's people who ain't got nothing and they need help. So I got to leave Wakanda because y'all Negroes are selfish as hell. I'm leaving. Remember, Lupita was out. Lupita was out. Only reason why she stayed is T'Challa said, my father is dead and I need you. Lupita said, I'm out. She said, I want to help other Africans. I just don't want to sit here living good while the world around us is suffering. Lupita said, I'm out. She only stayed because T'Challa asked her to stay. Remember that? Lupita was out. She said, there's people suffering around the world and they need us. But what did Daniel from Get Out say? What did Daniel from Get Out say? He told T'Challa, if you let refugees into Wakanda, if you let refugees into Wakanda, it will become just like any other African country. Did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that? That's that selfish African mentality that some of us have on that side of the Atlantic Ocean and this side of the Atlantic Ocean. That's that selfish mentality that some of us have. I got mine, you need to get yours. That is selfish. African culture is based on the philosophy that I am because we are. Ubuntu, an African concept. Ubuntu, I am because we are, and we as a people need to get back to Ubuntu. I am because we are. Daniel and T'Challa said we don't want nobody else here. Now, Daniel was an alpha male and he was a strong nationalist, but he was still selfish because he didn't want Pan-Africanism. But he was willing to let Killmonger be king because he wanted a strong leader who was willing to fight and not a beta male like T'Challa, who happened to be pro-CIA. The Black Panther was a pro-CIA selfish African nationalist. The Black Panther was a pro-CIA selfish African nationalist. Yes, the movie was great. The movie was great. We're not talking about the greatness of the cinematography. We're talking about the political messages, okay? I am a student of politics. I am not a student of entertainment. I'm looking for how this movie will be used to brainwash African children. Because let's be clear, this will be the first movie that every African in the world will watch. Let me repeat that. This will be the first movie that every African on earth will watch. This movie will go in the Guinness Book of World Records. They might watch it bootleg. They might watch it Netflix. They might watch it Amazon Prime. They might watch it on DVD. They might watch it at the movies. They might watch it at the museum. They might watch it in somebody else's house. But I promise you what? Every African on the planet will watch this movie. So we cannot ignore this movie. We cannot ignore this movie. I cannot afford African children, the next generation of revolutionaries who have to pick up the mantle after our generation put it down. I can't afford them to buy into the CIA subliminal programming. No. And I'm counting on black teachers. Please, black teachers, have a conversation about this movie with your students. Let them know. Have a whole lesson on propaganda. Because this was propaganda. What is propaganda? Warfare without weapons. What is propaganda? Warfare without weapons. And the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey said, propaganda has destroyed more people than open armies. Propaganda has destroyed more people than open armies. The Black Panther movie was propaganda. We can take the good, but let's educate our kids on the bad. Take the good and then educate the children on the bad. That's what we need to do. FDMG, we will have a whole class on Black Panther. A whole semester will be spent decoding the movie, dealing with it politically, culturally, spiritually, psychologically, and dealing with the spiritual side. What I find real interesting, most of us in America are Muslims and Christians, right? We're biblical and Quranic people. The Bible in the Quran does not in any way, shape, or form endorse nor educate about ancestral veneration. But as you can see in the movie Black Panther, in order to become king, everyone had to lay down in the soil and astral project to the heavens of the ancestors and have a conversation before they rule, right? How many parents who took their children to see Black Panther? How many black parents who took our young brothers and sisters to see Black Panther? How many Christian mothers and fathers, how many Muslim mothers and fathers are willing and comfortable with having a conversation with their children about ancestral veneration? Because it was clearly present in this movie. And I'm glad it was. That's why this movie, you could build a whole curriculum. And I'm going to do a curriculum. I'm going to let y'all know right now. The Prince of Pan-Africanism will be building a curriculum, a study guide around the Black Panther movie. Yes, I will. Yes, I will. I have to. I have to. Okay? And you won't get FDMG's curriculum, but I will give you the Black Panther's curriculum. Yes. I'm going to do a curriculum. It's too much here. You could deal with the political, the CIA, Shaka Zulu, the Kingdom of Lesotho, the issues in South Africa. What's going on in South Africa right now? The South African Parliament passed a resolution to take the land back from the white colonizers. Because as you know, when apartheid fell in 94, the power that the white man had in South Africa still has not fallen. So here we are, 94 to over 25 years after apartheid, and finally the ruling government and the economic freedom fighters, all of the people of Black South Africa are saying we want the land back. This is powerful. That's why this movie had to come out, because they need to stop Joseph Malema from meeting with Dr. Umar Johnson. They need to stop the ANC Youth League from building with Team Pan-African. That's why this movie had to come out now, because Africa is rising and they have to disrupt any chance of the Pan-Africanist in America uniting with the Pan-Africanist in Africa. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. The red, black, and green will rise again. The red, black, and green will rise again. Few more points. Okay. I also thought it was interesting how anybody who didn't like white folks were demonized. And that, of course, would be M'Baku, as well as Eric Killmonger, and to some extent, Daniel from Get Out. Okay. All of the protagonists was in love with the CIA man. Look at that. Ain't that brilliant? We're going to make a movie, and we're going to put the #1 destroyer of African political foundations, the CIA, the #1 killer of African leaders, the #1 financier of African coups, and we're going to make the protagonists fall in love with the CIA. We're going to make the CIA protect the black woman from the black man. And then they're going to bring the CIA into the heart of their country. Look at this. They're going to bring the CIA, the same organization that killed Lumumba, overthrew Nkrumah, assassinated Maurice Bishop, Malcolm, King, okay, Fred Hampton, potentially as well because of the internationalism of the Panthers. And we're going to make him the hero. The CIA saves the day. And y'all want me to believe that the military's fingerprints wasn't on this movie? You out your damn mind. Every African child will see a movie where the CIA is saving black people, even though in reality, they do nothing but kill black people. So brothers and sisters, I got a whole bunch of notes from when I watched the movie. Okay. And let's not forget, for those of you who think it's a far cry for this movie to be propaganda, even though the CIA been investing in movies through propaganda since 1947, even though the CIA has an entertainment industry liaison, let us also keep in mind that the CIA had a program called MK Ultra Mind Control. Don't forget the CIA's MK Ultra Mind Control program. And don't forget that the principles that the CIA learned about mind control, they apply it to the movies that they finance out of Hollywood. Did you know that the CIA and the FBI control over 200 periodicals, magazines, and newspapers? They finance movies. Why you think every time America goes to war with somebody, like 10 movies come out about the country they don't like? Remember all the movies you saw about Russia? Crimson Tide, when they was going to war with Russia, like 10 Russian movies come out. Remember that? Now they Afghanistan and Iraq. Look at all the movies we didn't seen about Afghanistan and Iraq. Okay? 13 Hours, The Hunt for Bin Laden, Lone Survivor. Every time you turn around, it's a new movie coming out about the war in Iraq. That's what the CIA does. They have to do what? Create public opinion. That's why we got to have the curriculum that I'm going to build for FDMG. Our children will look at a movie and they will know why the movie was made. If you can't look at a movie and determine why the movie was made, then your political, analytical skills are horrible. You should be able to look at Black Panther and say, I know exactly why they made this movie. You're not a child. You can't afford to be caught all up in the hoops and the coops and the African clothes and this and that. No, you got to look for the meat. Why did they make this movie? Every creation has intent. Everything is pragmatic in white supremacy. You got to be able to evaluate and decode the purpose of the program. You got to be able to evaluate and decode the purpose of the program. So where do we go from here? I'm going to tell you where we go from here. They're going to make an LGBT Black Panther, and then a lot of other people are going to come up with black superheroes. In about 10, 20 years from now, the hype and hoopla you have around Black Panther will no longer exist, because one thing that the white man is a master of doing, he's the master of oversaturating anything of substance so it is no longer useful to the people who could benefit from it. I'm going to repeat what I just said, and I want you to listen. I'm going to repeat what I just said, and I want you to listen. I'm going to repeat what I just said, and I want you to listen. I said, whenever the white man allows anything that is psychologically empowering to Black African people to be created, to prevent that thing from being used as a weapon of mass construction, to prevent that thing from being used to help Black people gain liberation, after he lets you have a feel-good session with it, he then turns right around and uses that same thing to destroy you and to also make it useless by oversaturating it to the point where you don't want to see it no more. 20 years from now, when the 6th Black Panther movie come out, you might not even go see it, because he's going to oversaturate your ass with it so it don't even mean anything for you anymore. This is what he does. He did it with Malcolm X. Remember the Malcolm X movie came out? Everybody was like, Malcolm, Malcolm, Malcolm. So guess what the white man started doing? Everything was Malcolm. Malcolm X hat, Malcolm X t-shirt, Malcolm X panel discussion, Malcolm X this, Malcolm X that. In other words, the white man takes it and turns it into a financial vehicle to the point where it turns Black people off and you don't even want to be bothered with it no more. So we had to do what? Let his oversaturation of Malcolm X die down, and now we can recreate Malcolm on our terms. We can reintroduce Malcolm to the community on our terms. We can now venerate and honor Malcolm's true legacy on our terms. You have to understand politics. You have to understand politics. This is what he's going to do with Black Panther. So at some point, we're going to have to create our own black superhero to counteract the negative messages that he's going to put in Black Panther. And now that we got Ta-Nehisi Coates and Roxanne Gay homosexualizing the Black Panther story, it's going to become even more important for us to create our own alternative to it, because it's about to get oversaturated and it's going to be homosexualized. These are the facts. They did the same thing to hip hop. You're absolutely right. They did the same thing to hip hop. When hip hop was just us, it was so unique and everybody was feeling it. The white man got it, turned it into gangster rap, brought all the white rappers in. Now he brought all the gay rappers in. Now people don't want nothing to do with hip hop. Original, classical hip hop. Okay? Not rapping over R&B beat, but the true creative hip hop. He does this with everything. He does this with everything. Talking about we shouldn't ask for no reparations. Talking about we shouldn't ask for no reparations. You out your mind. I'm definitely going to get reparations. I want to say this, though. I don't think Black Panther's success is because of the Black Panther himself. Because even Chadwick Boseman said that he really believes Killmonger was right. Chadwick Boseman even said, the Black Panther said, he agreed with Killmonger more than T'Challa. He said it. Chadwick Boseman said Killmonger was right. So everybody knows that the fix was in, even the Black Panther. Okay? But what sold Black Panther was the fact that African people here, there, and everywhere could see their ancestral homeland portrayed in a positive light. And that's why we went to see it 3, 4, 5 times. It wasn't the hero. You're not crazy about Black Panther. You're crazy about the Africa that they showed us in Black Panther. Let me say it again. This movie is not successful because of the superhero. The movie is successful because of the cinematography. A beautiful country. Nobody's starving. Nobody's killing. Nobody's hungry. Nobody's destitute. Nobody's running around naked like they love to make us think our people are. Nobody's running around with a white Jesus, because you ain't got nothing but white Jesus in Africa. We didn't see nothing negative about ourselves. For the first time, we saw nothing but positivity about Africa. And that's why brothers and sisters are calling me up. Dr. Umar, I'm going with you to Africa this year. Black Panther motivated me to go to Africa with you this year so I can appreciate Ryan Coogler and Michael B. and Lupita. I can appreciate what they did, because there's people who are going to go to Africa now who never would have thought of it, because Black Panther gave it to us in a positive light. That's why this movie is a success. That's why it must be watched. I'm going to buy it when it comes out. Not because I agreed with the mission. I know what the mission was. Divide and conquer. That was the mission. Separate continental blacks from American Africans. That was the mission. I understand, and understand that. But I cannot allow it to be lost on my consciousness that this is the first movie ever. Yes, it was a fairy tale, but still, the mind can't tell the difference between make-believe and real. When you watch Wakanda, for those of you who understand mental science, when our babies watch Wakanda, their brain cannot determine that this ain't real. The brain cannot distinguish between real and imagined. That's why when you close your eyes and experience anything, you have a physiological reaction to it, the same as if you actually experienced it. So although the movie was not real, the experience in the minds of African children was very much real. It was very real. They want to go to Africa now, and you must take them. And when they get to Africa, you have to explain to them. And even before they get to Africa, you have to explain to them, why isn't the Congo the world's largest repository of real vibranium known as coltan, the real electromagnetic device that makes technology possible? Why isn't the Congo a Wakanda? Why isn't Nigeria a Wakanda? Nigeria has some of the largest untapped reserves of gas and oil. Nigeria is one of the most minerally rich countries on the face of the earth. The Congo is the richest country on the face of the earth. Why is it not a Wakanda? Why isn't Ethiopia a Wakanda? Why isn't South Africa, where our brothers and sisters own almost none of the wealth, why is it not a Wakanda? If this is the continent of wealth, if we have what the whole world needs, why are we not a Wakanda? Well, guess what, brothers and sisters? I'm motivated to make Africa a real Wakanda. That's right. The Pan-African nationalist job. You know what our job is? Our job is to take the fairy tale of the Wakandan state and make it an international reality for all African people. The job of the revolutionary Pan-African nationalists is to take the idea of Wakanda, a minerally rich, technologically advanced nation, and replicate that all across the Pan-African empire. Who want to help me do it? Who want to help me do it? I told y'all the repatriation task force is still going to take place. 90 days in Africa. We're going to live there, and we're going to lay the foundation for a real Wakanda. Where's our brothers and sisters in the technological industry who want to take that energy back to Africa and help us build up technologically a heaven on earth in Africa? It's time for a real Wakanda. And if you're wondering why Wakanda rhymes with Uganda, if you're wondering why Wakanda rhymes with Uganda, it's because the original Wakanda was located, according to the comic book, extremely close to that area of the world known as Uganda. But they don't want to give you Uganda, so they called it Wakanda. They don't want to give you Idi Amin, who made those white boys get on their knees. Idi Amin, who kicked out those racist East Indians because they didn't want to hire black folks. Oh, they don't want to give you Pan-Africanist Idi Amin. No, he wasn't perfect, but neither is Obama. Barack Obama killed more people than any African leader you can name. Barack Obama killed more people than any African leader you can name. But you won't condemn Obama because the white man gave him to you. You won't condemn T'Challa because the white man gave him to you. So go ahead with that stuff. Okay? But Wakanda is Uganda. And Uganda, ironically, is also implicated in the war for the Congo's coltan, the real vibranium. Uganda is implicated in that. Rwanda is implicated in that as well. So everything in this movie was symbolic for a reason. Even the first fighting scene. Remember, the Black Panther never fought no white folks in this movie. The Black Panther never fought no white folks. The only person who fought white folks was Killmonger when he killed Claw. The first scene of the Black Panther, he's fighting what? Human traffickers. Did y'all see that? Why did they put human trafficking in this movie? Why did they put human trafficking in this movie? Let me tell you why they put human trafficking in this movie. Because America is preparing to invade Nigeria and other minerally rich countries under the pretext of human trafficking and terrorism. Let me say it again. The reason the first fight scene in the movie was T'Challa versus some African gangsters who were trafficking humans is because America is now trying to paint Nigeria and other African nations as bastions of human trafficking. And they plan to invade these African nations, not for human trafficking, for gas and oil because Nigeria won't give America what America wants. So they're going to pay some CIA agents to pay some gangsters to traffic some kids, just like they did in Nigeria with the 200 missing girls. And then America, through the CIA, is going to invade Nigeria to make the world safe for democracy. So they had to implement that scene in the movie. So our children and you are already conditioned to expect a military invasion in Nigeria, because in the Black Panther movie, the Black Panther had to catch and destroy some African human traffickers. Don't shoot the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger. In conclusion, brothers and sisters, because we've been at this for 3.5 hours, I've kept you as long as I need to. This was my first YouTube live. Make sure you click that subscribe button on YouTube. Okay, for my Facebook family, this might be my very last Facebook seminar. From now on, you got to go to YouTube. For my Facebook family, this may very well be my very last Facebook Live. You may have to go to YouTube. Okay, I'm going to do a part 2. Dr. Umar did not cover everything. This is only part 1. I'm going to do a part 2 of Black Panther. But this is enough for y'all. You got 3.5 hours of original content. See, one thing about me, I don't watch other people's videos because I don't really think they have much I can learn from them. I'll watch ancestor videos, Dr. Ben, Dr. Clark, Amos Wilson, but I don't watch none of the Hoteppers. I'm not going to learn anything, not what I want to learn. Okay, so all my content is original, but they're going to watch mine and they're going to study mine. And you're going to hear a lot of what was told today regurgitated from other people. Because as a Leo, you are the sun. And everyone is drawn to the rays of the sun. Brothers and sisters, please continue to donate to the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy. Money orders and checks payable to FDMG Academy. Make sure you include your phone number, your mailing address, and your email on your donation. Send it in to FDMG Academy, P.O. Box 6872, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 19132. Black parents, if any of you need a private consultation for your child, I charge $50 for private consultations. You can email me, text me, or WhatsApp me for private consultations. I do not check my Instagram or Facebook inboxes often. I do not check my Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter inboxes often. So if you need to get to me, I suggest you text it or you email it. Okay? But you can follow me on Facebook, Dr. Umar Ifatunde, on Instagram at Dr. Umar Johnson, also on Twitter at Dr. Umar Johnson. Send your resumes in to fdmgresumes@gmail.com, fdmgresumes@gmail.com. Quick update on the school. Right now, I'm looking at 4 locations: Trenton, New Jersey, Wilmington, Delaware, Atlanta, Georgia, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I repeat, Trenton, New Jersey, Wilmington, Delaware, Atlanta, Georgia, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. But the show is not over. The show is not over because we have not paid for a building yet. So if you are next to a school building, if you know of a school for sale that is not very large and is not very raggedy, that is not very small, not very large, and it is not raggedy, that has a for sale sign on it, please take a picture of the school, a picture of the for sale sign. Make sure the phone number is on there of the agent I need to contact. Okay? And please text or email that to me. I am still looking. I didn't get no referrals from Florida. I didn't get no referrals from Ohio. I'm surprised. I thought Florida and Ohio, Virginia, I got no school referrals from Virginia. Okay? A lot of you have not helped in this process. A lot of others of you have helped. Detroit, y'all have a lot of schools, but for some reason, it just ain't working out there for me. The Archdiocese, the Catholics of Detroit, refused to sell a school to me. So that's what happened with the Catholic schools in Detroit. But I told you, my number one choice is in Detroit. My number one choice is in Detroit, and it is the Academy of Southfield. It is the Academy of Southfield. So for my Detroit people, if you want to talk to those 2 black men that own the Academy of Southfield, maybe you know somebody who can call them up and say, listen, work with that brother. Work with him. We need that school because that school is waiting. It is literally waiting, but I don't know how to, they worrying about money. They're not trying to work with me at all. So, but again, I'm open. My brother's in Oakland. My sister's in Oakland. Y'all said y'all got schools in Oakland. I'll fly to LA. I'll make it a West Coast. I'll make FDMG West Coast, but you got to show me something. Okay, Kentucky. I didn't get nothing out of Kentucky. Chicago, it ain't over yet. It ain't over yet in Chicago. The school that I was looking at in Chicago, I was told by the inspector that it's going to cost too much money to get it up to code. Okay? So on that note, brothers and sisters, I want to thank y'all for tuning in. I have enjoyed it. I'm going to start doing some more seminars because I need to get some videos up on my YouTube account. Again, make sure you go to YouTube and subscribe. Make sure you like the page. Prince Ephod Tunde is the YouTube page. I repeat, Prince Ephod Tunde is the YouTube page. One love, Black family. I hope you enjoyed this seminar, and I cannot wait to come to your town. Buffalo, New York, London, England, Paris, France. Get ready for the Prince. Black Power.